You did not pay attention to me.
How you doing?
You need to hold on to your stuff.
So, you two,
I would say look
I'm in big trouble with my wife.
Yeah.
Big trouble.
So you want to take a zoom in.
Yeah.
You're going to be on the...
I'm going to go back. I got to go
And
there
I'm
anyway.
going to be to your corner.
Yeah.
So if you want to take...
Superman came like from before Ghost, like, man. We're gonna go. Burned on me like it caught fire because you were going so fast.
Good evening and welcome to the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. Tonight we bring you Mountain West Overwatch, and it isn't just regular Mountain West Overwatch. This is the best in show, one of the hottest contested rivalries in the division. We are showcasing Boise State and UNLV tonight as they look to get a good enough record to go into the finals. If you remember, these were the two teams that have made it into the finals for the Mountain West, two of the best teams on this side of the Rockies. So we are going to be showcasing their journey toward the playoffs, or will one of the teams they face up against kind of be an upset and derail their plans, so to speak. Well, I'm your host, Jacob Jem Palmer, here to join you all the action, and I am joined by Michael Fish Fisher to bring you the action. And Fish, if I could think of one rivalry to just set the stage for esports and Overwatch, it would be these two teams, Boise State and UNLV. They are two of the best teams, two of the fiercest teams, and two of the fiercest rivals in the Mountain West.
Yeah, Boise State has a thing for apparently the state of Nevada in terms of Mountain West. We know in League of Legends it's Boise State, Nevada, and in Overwatch, as you said, it's Boise State and UNLV. They've been to the last two Mountain West Championship games. Unfortunately, that result hasn't gone Boise State's way. They've already played in the Mountain West regular season, week number 1. What a way to start it out, and unfortunately, Boise State fell just short. So it's been a nice little journey to follow both of these teams basically side by side as they go through the Mountain West. Number 1 in UNLV, and it appears no one's going to upset them. They absolutely rolled last week. There's something I love about this team. They make sure they take care of business. They don't have any fluky performances. And meanwhile, Boise State doing a lot of the same. They were very close with Fresno State. That'll be a series I want to watch, UNLV and Fresno later on. But Boise State's taking care of business. The only thing I want to watch out for, Boise State has had a lot of high-impact games recently, multiple championships, multiple playoff games. When you come back into that regular season, how is your mindset? I mean, you've been so stressed out. You come to a regular season game. Are you pressing too much? Are you trying too hard? That's the one thing I want to watch out for Boise State. Now that we're back in Mountain West regular season, are they able to calm the nerves, get back to taking care of business?
Well, the first match is going to showcase UNLV versus New Mexico tonight. We will see how UNLV's season continues, or if the Lobos prove to be an upset for them.
Yeah, I really want to watch something that's been a growing and concerning trend for a lot of the Mountain West schools, and that is every team seems to have a DPS player that believes that they can play Doomfist on the level of Silk Carpet.
Yes.
And we are, I think, 4 for 4 at this point, or at least 3 for 3. We didn't see one of UNLV's games, but every single UNLV game we saw, somebody's tried it. We saw moderate success at best last week, and I think moderate might be a bit too nice. So can New Mexico kind of stay in their lane, play the comp? Now, maybe they have a Doomfist in there. I think one of my co-casters from Madden says it best, and that's Chosen. Play the game that got you there. Don't play something cheesy. Don't try and do something silly because you think you can get an upset. Play the game that got you there. Stay off the Doomfist. Just say, okay, you know what? Silk Carpet is going to play that Doomfist. He's also really, really good at Tracer as well. Don't try and fall into that trap of letting your ego be like, oh, you could definitely take Silk Carpet. That's what I want to watch out for New Mexico. If they avoid the Doomfist, that is a minor victory already for me.
Well, let's take a look at the current standings to see the overall makeup of the Mountain West Division this semester, and you can see UNLV really making themselves known. Boise State and Colorado State in a fierce fight for second place, and we can see all the others. Fresno State, like you said, was going to be one of the ones that we want to watch out for as UNLV goes up against them. But for now, UNLV is going to be going against New Mexico, which hasn't had the best season so far, 1-3, but we will see how well they do against the top tier team tonight. And Doc's keys to the game in Overwatch are going to be to never take a fair fight, and that means to take fights in unexpected places when they are unprepared, and don't take so gosh darn long, or else Doc will hunt you down and give you a stern talking to, and you don't want to be on the receiving end of that. Doc's Keys to the Game brought to you by Count Identity Trust Global Network, delivering real-time fraud protection, count protection, and enabling personalized customer experiences for more than 9,000 leading brands and payment providers. Quick and accurate identity trust decisions deliver safe payment, account creation, and login events while reducing digital fraud, chargebacks, false positives, and manual reviews. Count.com.
And I think it is really interesting that both Boise State and UNLV fit into those docks keys. I mean, we've talked about it all the time with Boise State. That's something you want to watch out for. If Goblin is playing for Boise State, he's always going to try and do that. And in a similar vein, though, I think it's almost expected at this point, is Silk Carpet. He's going to try and jump in on your backline. He's going to try and just assassinate your supports, especially on that Doomfist. We've been a bit more reserved on the Tracer when we've seen him, so it's going to be up to New Mexico to basically have perfect tracking of Silk Carpet. Where is he? Well, you know, is he trying to get onto your backline? He's landed a ton of pulse bombs on that Tracer. So that's something you want to watch out for, and it fits Doc's keys because it's going to be unexpected for New Mexico. If they lose sight of even a moment of Silk Carpet, he's going to be on your backline. He's absolutely going to annihilate you.
And that really makes me interested to see what the performance on these pick sort of heroes are. Is there going to be a Widowmaker or, say, an Ashe? Because we have seen when Boise State goes up against UNLV, when Silk Carpet is out of the picture, it really makes your team fight 10 times easier. We've seen UNLV just kind of crumble when Silk Carpet isn't there, constantly picking the supports off the backline. So if we get a map with some good sidelines, something where a Widowmaker or an Ashe can really just pick Silk Carpet out before the two teams even make it there, I would like New Mexico's chances.
Yeah, it's going to be just really hard, especially if he is on that Tracer. She just has so much mobility. I mean, it's almost nausea-inducing when you watch any Tracer play, just how they're constantly blinking, flipping, you know, rewinding. So it's going to be really hard to get a pick onto the Tracer, and I think that there are some opportunities for New Mexico. Last week, we saw Slam Taro, the main tank for UNLV. He was forcing Wrecking Ball a lot. He was not getting the needed value out of Reinhardt Shatters as you would come to expect for the tank for the best team. So there are some exploitable weaknesses for this UNLV team, but if you let Silk Carpet just rip through your team, none of those are going to be exploitable. But I think there is a window of opportunities. You see Slam Taro on that Wrecking Ball. Unfortunately, New Mexico's already going to lose a player.
They're already one down, and that's just going to allow UNLV to really charge to the point and bunker down. They are actually kind of just pushing right up to the choke point and not allowing New Mexico to even get out of their spawn, it looks like.
I mean, I see Yins on the Doomfist, and I come on. You need to get away from that already.
I mean,
exactly. Come on. Just stop it.
Yeah, Wild Wing Bat, though, is going to be the one instead of Silk to get a triple off of that engagement. And that's actually going to be a team kill in the first fight. If you want a statement fish, UNLV is making it.
Yeah, I think Wild Wing Bat has definitely, he's almost stolen the spotlight from Silk Carpet in recent weeks. We see Slam Taro doing acrobatics. So Wild Wing Bat almost needs more attention than Silk Carpet, even with him on the patented Doomfist. And with this Deadeye available as well as Amp Matrix, it's going to be trouble for New Mexico.
I'd just be happy to fire through an Amp Matrix into a narrow doorway, and both DPSs for UNLV pick up two. However, Griffin is fighting back, able to pick off UNLV support, but that minefield is going to push it back toward UNLV territory. And oh my goodness, right as the McCree is trying to get back in spawn.
Yeah, UNLV does a really good job of pushing their advantage. They have already taken out the McCree there for New Mexico. They don't really have any ult, but the sound barrier from Karma here should be able to negate an incoming grab from Griffin. So it's going to be very hard here for New Mexico unless they can get a huge pick onto somebody.
Well, the timer ticks past 70% for UNLV. Wild Wing Bat able to pick out New Mexico's McCree. And New Mexico is going to try a different route here. There's their first time not trying to squeeze through and taking the high ground, but it's really not working out for them in this particular instance. Just trying. Silk Carpet comes in, is able to take out the Reinhardt, and Birdie is going to be able to take out C6 as well. Also using the Meteor Strike is Yin, but at this point, the fight's already lost, and New Mexico just has to reset.
I mean, good news for New Mexico. I don't think they'll get another fight off, as we did see Karma use the sound barrier, so it won't be up for the grab if they can contest for that long. Unfortunately, they're going to eat a three-man shatter right to the face from Cordy. Going to get the Deadeye from Wild Wing Bat. He won't find anyone, so unfortunately, that's going to minimize any chance there of an overtime push. But I think New Mexico, had they been able to get on that point with that grab that we see as the final kill, they might have had a chance because Karma had blown the sound barrier, maybe a bit too preemptively thinking the round would end.
Now we go into the second match. UNLV is going to be looking to close this one out pretty early, and as we head on to this one, plenty of opportunities for environmentalists. That's why we see both teams bringing out Lucio.
Yeah, you also see the Roadhog there from Griffin, maybe trying to find a hook onto someone like Cordy, who could definitely, you know, has no recovery. Slamtaro has a little bit there, as well as Silk Carpets. It's going to be a little bit harder to hook those guys, but if you can maybe get the main tank off the map, then that might be a win condition. Now, that's the one thing I want to watch out for UNLV is we get a last-second swap over to the Soldiers. Just a play of Cordy and Slamtaro. If my memory is correct, they have actually swapped from main tank and off tank from where they were at the start of the season. So, interesting now that Cordy's on that Rhine, and we'll see how he plays.
Now New Mexico, we see Griffin right here. Can he get a sneaky hook onto one of the squishy members? He's actually just going to throw it out towards Slamtaro, who quickly rolls away. Now you see just kind of trying to snipe through that narrow doorway there. Cordy's going to be the first one to pick up C6, putting UNLV at an advantage. Barry also very low on health, healing back up gradually. Yin was down to half health as well, and Karma's finding himself in a bit of danger. But Garth and Griffin are taken out by Wildwing and Slamtaro from UNLV, as they take the first point quite easily.
Yeah, UNLV does a great job there. Silk Carpet looks like hasn't had much of the impact. Like I said, Wildwing Bat has been incredibly impressive, especially on this McCree. He has gotten a ton of value with this hero time and time again. So if Mexico doesn't have an answer for just Wildwing Bat, it could be a long night for them, as right now they're trying to find a way to re-siege. Unfortunately, they will lose Yin, and I mean, maybe he is a Doomfist player, but I just feel like it's not working and he needs to try something else.
Oh, the charge almost on to the Zen there, but he's going to be stunned at the last moment. Barry is going to get booped off as the edges. Qwerty also takes out Zen with a flame strike there, but Garth is answering it back from the Lobos onto Slamtaro and Wildwing. This could be the Lobos' chance to get the point. Griffin following it up and taking up Qwerty. Silk is still finding himself alive, and there's Lucky also getting focused down.
No.
Off the edge! Oh, gonna get booped off, but Lobos might be able to take the point here, but Karma has something to say about that.
We get the Meteor Strike out here from Yin. If he's able to land it onto Karma, that would be huge with that sound barrier coming online incredibly soon. Deadeye with a great pick onto Barry. You can throw the minefields down on point if you're Garth, as Slamtaro is going to take out Yin, and unfortunately now with the sound barrier up from Karma, they have a response to anything New Mexico wants to throw at him. They get a great pick though onto Silk Carpet, and second week in a row we've seen a tank for one of the opposing teams do everything they can, but a huge shatter there, and unfortunately New Mexico just can't even get out of their own spawn.
Garth's gonna fall off the edge as New Mexico is all staggered out. Barry using that rally, but it's not even gonna go on to all the members of the Wolf Pack. It looks like only about 4 or 5 there as Lucky throws down that amp matrix and pin right on to Garth from Qwerty, just gonna charge right through him. So very happy to use that increased damage. It's going to pick off Barry right there. UNLV still taking control of this point with no members of Lobos. Now there they go. They touch it now, so they're going to be driving into overtime, as that Zen was just using the Transcendence just to keep it stalled out.
Yeah, get the whole hog there from Griffin. He didn't get the environmental kill that I think he was hoping for. It looks like New Mexico should be able to take care of business here. A couple more stalls. Can't quite make it to the point, and UNLV strong as ever. I mean, like I said, this is one of the things that I really respect about this team. They make sure they take care of business. They're the #1 team for a reason, and they don't leave anyone have a sliver of hope in their matches we've seen so far in this season.
Well, just what do you pick? I mean, what map do you pick? That's the only really advantage that the Lobos have right now. And when you're going up a team against UNLV, that is a very tough decision to make. But what isn't a tough decision is pairing up with the Idaho Army National Guard, a great sponsor of Boise State Esports, and they invite you to take your critical thinking skills into real time with more than 10 positions offering a $20,000 bonus and your degree of choice paid for. The Idaho Army National Guard is one of the best teams to join out there. Reach out to them on Twitch at iGuard Gaming.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it feels like this felt like an ego match there for Yin. Maybe he is a Doomfist player, but it didn't feel like it worked. So try and maybe pick something like a May, something that you can get a little bit more utility out of might be a good idea. I think the other thing for New Mexico, in terms of maps, I mean, the worst performance we've seen UNLV have this season outside of against Boise State, where they actually did lose a map, would have been Kings Row against Wyoming, where the Cowboys were able to get a pretty solid push late in that map thanks to their tank play, and we saw Garth have an absolute pop-off moment that looked like for a brief moment might allow New Mexico to flip the point. So maybe you're going to Kings Row. Garth, if you can play that Reinhardt and you can land some shatters, there definitely is an opportunity for you to get them onto UNLV based on what we saw last week, and that feels like that might be the one chance for New Mexico to be able to to maybe run it against UNLV, and that's exactly what they're going to do. And look at that, Garth's on the Reinhardt.
Yin still deciding not to go off of that Doomfist. It's actually very interesting. We're actually seeing role swaps coming out right now as QWERTY is going to actually change off from tank and go on to Doomfist, where Silk is going to try his hands at a Roadhog.
Yeah, I think we saw this in another game where we saw QWERTY onto the Doomfist, and I don't know if it was Silk tanking or if it was someone else, but QWERTY is actually a very, very good Doomfist player, if I remember correctly. So he is going to be a pain, but I still think there are opportunities for Garth to be able to land big shatter values. It was Euphoria, I believe, last week for Wyoming, who did exactly that. So I think there's a chance for New Mexico to maybe be able to steal a point or two. It all comes down, though, to Garth and his play on this right now.
Well, they're going to be taking the hotel route here, holding up his shield, trying to push the team toward the point. They are going to try to start capturing it now as UNLV is pushing them in from all sides right now. Actually see the Doomfist right there is going to try to get onto their backline as Slam goes right in to the Lobos. Yin and Garth are going to be taken out by Silk Carpet and Lucky. Griffin is fighting back though on that Zarya, getting a double, but it's not going to be enough as Slam and QWERTY change it over to UNLV winning.
Yeah, the supports for New Mexico are going to have to make sure they do not get picked off by Wildwing Bag or QWERTY, and especially with that high ground and without a Mei, it can be so hard to keep your supports alive if they're not always behind that Reinhardt shield, and that's where it feels like Yin might want to swap off, but he's going to go for the hero play.
And just go right into Silk. Actually, Silk is taken out by C6, so one of the star players from UNLV now no longer available as Slam rolls away here. Lobos still haven't pushed toward the point here. Instead, they're going to take the fight to UNLV, kind of roll around, pick up one person. Now here comes Lucky trying to get a few shots in there. QWERTY is going to be taking out Barry, but Yin now getting some mileage out of that Doomfist, taking out Wildwing. And Garth and Giraffe are both taken out by Lucky and QWERTY, and UNLV getting the advantage back from New Mexico.
Yeah, New Mexico's had a couple of good pushes. They still have the advantage in terms of the grab over the sound barrier at 71-53 with Griffin versus Karma, and that might be a decent win condition. They have to be careful for that Amp Matrix from Lucky Shaiko that's probably going to come down in this fight, but if Yin can get a huge pick with this Meteor Strike, New Mexico might have a chance to get a tick onto the point.
And a risky push is that, as they were pushing toward the point before C6 had even fully respawned, and instead it's going to be UNLV's McCree that does a Deadeye and a follow-up on that to pick up a double. QWERTY is going to eliminate Yin, and Garth also taken out as well. That was really kind of shocking for me. New Mexico just started pushing at 5 strength without even waiting for one of their teammates to respond.
Yeah, probably just didn't expect it all to be up for UNLV. I mean, alt tracking for whoever the IGL is for New Mexico is going to be something you have to keep in your mind. As Griffin gets a great pick on the Silk Carpet, that's going to put in that grab. Karma doesn't have it, so you land a huge grab here. This could be a fight win for New Mexico, but on that high ground, it's a lot of pressure on this Zarya to make sure she times it right.
And down from that high ground comes Slam Taro, as well as a Meteor Strike being used by QWERTY. Right on to Giraffe, follow-up onto Griffin. Karma also getting a boop onto Garth, and it's another retry for the Lobos.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's also going to give Karma that sound barrier, so that is going to completely negate one of the two big ults here from New Mexico. They do have the Shatter online, and like I said, we saw Euphoria last week for Wyoming get huge Shatter value on Kings Row against UNLV, so if Garth can land one, it maybe can help this team turn it around.
There goes the minefield, as well as Deadeye being brought out by C6, not going to pick up anybody. The Mines also aren't getting any eliminations right now. New Mexico still has that grab and Shatter. Slam right onto the point. Gonna be pinned after the Shatter comes down, evening it up for both teams. Graviton Surge is gonna come out, but is there the follow-up? There goes Garth with some follow-up damage, as well as Yin picking up a double there as the Lobos are able to get a handle on the point with just 8 seconds left.
Yeah, just a small misplay there by Karma. He heard the Shatter came out and instinctively slammed down the sound barrier. The only problem was the Shatter only landed onto, I believe, Slam Taro. So as soon as that sound barrier got wasted, Griffin wasted no time, landed a huge double grab as the shields were expiring. And it's a great job there by the New Mexico tanks of Garth and Griffin being able to will this team to unlock the payload, and now they can start pushing.
They're going to push with a lot of members on the point there. Now they're catching up as this Reinhardt is going to find himself inside that hub, just kind of all by himself there. See Yin picking around the corners, seeing if he can't get a pick onto there. Did see a nice stagger, did also come out onto UNLV with that Reinhardt. Now they're going to engage, and Griffin takes out Silk right away, putting UNLV at a disadvantage. Amp Matrix going to come down, as well as an anti thrown onto two members of them. Barry going very low on health there, and QWERTY taken out by C6. Slam Taro is able to get rid of Barry, though, and is going to try to charge right in there, and is just going to charge into death, it looks like, instead. As Yin is going to use the Meteor Strike there, try to even it back up, but it is not going to find anyone. A Deadeye onto Griffin, though. It's going to allow UNLV to stop this payload.
Yeah, good job by UNLV. Turn around that fight. Does look like Silk Carpet just hasn't found his hero in terms of tanking. He's been on that Roadhog. He's swapped back multiple times between Sigma and Orisa. So just unfortunately not quite having the same success as we're used to him seeing in the DPS role. Slam Taro is going to get taken out. That Wrecking Ball sometimes has left a lot to be desired. We get a huge flank here from QWERTY. He's going to throw down that Meteor Strike. Got to be careful if you're New Mexico support. You don't have the Immortality Field. As it looks like that was weird.
Well, Yin managing to get a pick onto UNLV, taking out QWERTY. Slam Taro, though, with those mines, getting a triple onto the Lobos there. That's going to stop them in their tracks yet again.
It does look like QWERTY's actually going to swap back over to tank as Silk Carpet has disappeared for a moment.
Oh.
I was wondering if maybe he just like, hey, look, I can't tank, and I don't know what it takes to switch. So maybe he thought he had to leave the game to be able to switch over to a DPS in 2-2-2. So we'll see if he comes back. But for now, UNLV's done a good job holding serve with their ults, especially Slam Taro getting that huge minefield value we just saw. And Mexico's got a grab coming up soon. If they can get it before overtime ends, they might have a chance here with a great pick onto Wildwing back to start out overtime.
Yin also taking a bit of damage right there. Immortality Field is going to come down from UNLV as Amp Matrix is also used from them. Lobos pushing forward to the first checkpoint. Almost there, but contested by UNLV. We see Nano Boost is going to come out. Karma taken out by Garth, followed by Slam Taro, taken out by Barry. QWERTY is going to be eliminated by Yin. That's going to force a reset here as Lucky is trying to peer down from the top, maybe get a pick, but not too successful yet.
Yeah, and honestly, huge job there by Griffin to hold on to that grab. I thought there were a couple times where he probably could have used it, but by holding on to it, he's going to have it for the next fight. Now, New Mexico has to find a way to bait out Karma's sound barrier first, and then that grab gets huge value. This looks like Silk Carpet's back now on that Widowmaker, so DPSing like we're used to seeing as a minefield comes down on the back line.
3 ultimates still available to New Mexico, but one of them isn't going to be able to be used as Griffin is picked off by Wildwing, who now, despite getting antied, is going to hang out under that Immortality Field and push New Mexico back just a little ways further. They only have 40 seconds left to try to get to the end. And another disconnect there from Silk.
Yeah, hopefully he's able to get back in. You never like when you just have a player who's unable to play due to internet connection, but huge grab, and now if you could shatter off the sound barrier, this is a great chance here for Garth as both grabs actually came out. Both sound barriers used, but New Mexico has the follow-up ult. They just need to find a good grab, and Garth could maybe allow them to get to the third spot. And there it is!
There's a huge shatter. Now the follow-up needs to come through as 2 Deadeyes are going to pick up 1 apiece. Amp Matrix thrown down by Lucky, but it's at a really weird angle in the middle of the playfield. And they're now pushing toward the end of the point. A boop onto Yin, answered back by Griffin, taking out Wildwing, and Griffin getting the double, but QWERTY answering that back. Both teams are very close in this engagement, but UNLV is managing, even though they are 1 down, to still stall it out. Very low health for QWERTY there, and Slam is getting hit by the sleep dart, but a pick onto Barry from Wildwing could keep UNLV's hopes alive right now. Yin being taken out by Wildwing, and that's a huge double play, as well as the minefield going down, forcing New Mexico off of the point, and 1 down. UNLV might have just been able to hold them.
Yeah, if Griffin gets that grab, it's probably a different story, and unfortunately, They got the exact combo they needed. They got the 3-man shatter. They just didn't follow it up. I think they heard the Deadeye come out and just got too scared to push forward. But if they push forward on Garth's triple slam, I think they maybe 3-cap there because they had 3 members stunned. As you mentioned, they were already up 1. Silk Carpet is having some issues trying to stay connected to the game. So I definitely think New Mexico just got way too scared of the Deadeye from Wild Wing Bat, which, I mean, you know my feelings on Deadeye, so that just makes it all the more sad.
Well, and especially sad if despite having an inherent one-person advantage, you still aren't able to pull it out. I mean, a lot of my experiences with you know, online shooters was playing Splatoon on Nintendo, and if you know anything about Nintendo's online services, disconnects are not an unheard of thing. So it really stinks when you're just the team that finds yourself one person down. But there's not a better feeling in the world than actually pulling out an upset win despite being one person down.
Yeah, I think being one down says a lot more about the strength of the team down a player than the lack thereof of the team up a player. Because the team up a player, it's so easy to get in your head, oh, they're down 1, this should be really easy. But for the team down 1 to be able to say, okay, how do we manage our ults? We have 1 less player. How do we target focus? How do we do this without 1 DPS? A lot of pressure on the Wild Wing Bat. So I definitely think that that's more credit to just UNLV as a team and their overall camaraderie than anything else being able to win in that situation.
Now we see Flashbang going right on to Silk right there. Slam Taro is able to pick out Garth, though. Going to pick up a double by also taking out C6. As UNLV is going to be taking this point really fast there. Slam down is going to take out Yin. And Griffin is also eliminated. They're too busy chasing after the Lobos there. Now one goes back to pick up the point. They look like they were in hot pursuit there.
They were just trying to make sure New Mexico could not get the recontest off. They're still doing that as the 2 supports are able to cap the point. And I will say, I definitely think this has been an improved play from Slam Taro. He's, you know, as I said, he struggled last week on the Wrecking Ball. He's had some moments this week that let me know that he's been working a lot in his off time on that Wrecking Ball. So a huge shout out to Slam Taro, realizing he needed to put the work in, and he looks like he's done that so far.
Yeah, definitely making himself a presence known on the front line. With that Wrecking Ball, we see Yin here trying to find himself a pick onto UNLV. All of them, though, are very safely around that payload as they get through to this major archway and choke point right now, as Amp Matrix is going to be thrown down by UNLV. We also see a Sleep Dart coming out there. Wild Wing is going to find himself caught up. Both Doomfist actually taken out for both teams, as Barry is going to get moved, answered back by Qwerty, and a shatter coming on to Karma, and the follow-up is also going to take out Slam Taro and Lucky, and a great play there by New Mexico to hold them.
Yeah, that was the one area where I thought New Mexico might have a chance in this game, and we saw it with Wyoming. It's just the tank play of Garth and Griffin has been really, really strong so far, and you know, with Silk Carpet tanking and maybe having some internet issues we don't quite know, it could be really difficult to play on that Roadhog. So I think Griffin and Garth have done a great job responding, doing everything they can to keep their team in this game.
Slam Taro hit by the Sleep Dart, gonna go low on health, but is able to get away there. Deadeye being brought out by C6 there, but the Meteor Strike onto him as he's standing right there. Ouch. That's your main beef with Deadeye, isn't it, Fish?
I mean, you just saw he was waiting way too long for there to be a perfect play. He had a couple of shots, I think, to do some decent damage and just kept waiting and waiting and waiting, and that's probably the problem with Deadeye is that you just, it baits you into trying for the highlight play when you just need to make the solid plays. We do see Griffin has this grab available with Karma using the sound barrier. There's an opportunity for Griffin to be able to throw down a grab in this next fight and be able to help New Mexico maybe hold here for a bit longer as they go to that second point.
A fierce fight for the point right now. Slam Taro able to pick up one with those mines. Garth answering that back, evening it up by taking out Wild Wing. Now a punch to the face for Yin is putting the Lobos at a disadvantage, and they throw out the Graviton Surge. No real follow-up for it, though. And there goes Qwerty, who actually on the Genji is able to pick up Griffin and push toward the checkpoint.
Yeah, that was just an unfortunate opportunity of the communication breakdown for New Mexico. They didn't communicate about where they were. They had no follow-up on that grab. Garth's going to throw down the minefield, though. Nano's up for Lucky Shaiko. I'm seeing if he's going to wait for Cordy to get it or if he's going to throw it onto somebody else. It looks like UNLV is going to be able to take down a pair of members, and they're going to start pushing with 4.5 minutes to claim this and go up to match point.
I mean, they're already staggering out New Mexico, so I wouldn't really expect that nano boost to come out right now. It would really just be a win more scenario at this point. They're just happy to push New Mexico right up to their spawn as Griffin is going to find himself taken out, going to have to respawn. A little bit of a sleep dart going on to Silk Carpet there, as well as an anti, but Wild Wing keeping up the pressure, taking up C6, and Barry also eliminated by Karma. Wild Wing getting another onto Yin there, and just the stagger alone probably is just going to allow UNLV to just glide into victory.
Yeah, they did a great job, you know, just keeping New Mexico in the spawn the whole time while the cart was being pushed by Lucky Shaiko, and just a really good response there from UNLV. I think New Mexico had some bright spots where they landed some really good tank ults, but unfortunately just communication doomed them in the end. They had that grab that was definitely a fight winner, and they used it in a scenario that looked to be pretty strong. I think they had 2 trapped, and they unfortunately just didn't have any follow-up. Nobody else was even in the line of sight of the grab, so just an overzealous play, unfortunately, there for Griffin. But still, I thought Garth and Griffin played really, really well for New Mexico and gave them the best shot that they had to win that map.
Escort is going to be the next map, and if there's any judgment onto kind of what's the standard pick, we have seen a lot of Havana being chosen right now, but we're just going to have to ponder that as we talk about Idaho Codes, and it is a sponsored summer computer science program open to all 7th and 12th grade students in every Idaho school district, teaching coding and programming courses. Students who compete in Idaho Codes have various credit opportunities and can network with those in industry. Please encourage students in every district to register at idahocodes.org. The program is free for the first 1,000 students registered, and there are options to participate either on campus or online. They're also looking for local college students with a background in coding to be mentors. It can pay up to $2,000. You're going to want to check into all of that for Idaho Codes. So we head into the third map, and Havana's been a very popular pick from what Boise State. It's actually going to be Route 66.
Yeah, it's sort of, you know, right up there with Havana. I think the map we've seen the most in Escort. It definitely has those sort of long sight lines that we talked about, but neither team really feels like playing snipers. I think we've seen just a hint of Widowmaker there at the very end of defense for Kings Row when Silk Carpet brought it out. So going to be very interesting what New Mexico has up their sleeve. I think they needed to pick a map that definitely plays around their tanks, and for the most part, I think there's a lot of high ground, especially on that gas station, that could make it hard if Garth is going to try and play something like a Reinhardt. But for now, it looks like he's going to be on the Diva, and Griffin's going to be on that Winston. So I'll be curious to see how things go out for the side of New Mexico here and what could be this last map.
I also see Silk on the Sombra here, just probably trying to do a little bit of scouting early on before swapping toward another pick, as Sombra really hasn't been a dominant force in this meta. You see New Mexico is going to be going on to a dive composition. Going to be bringing out the Diva and Winston there.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting comp, and I mean, we've seen with the Diva mech changes, it's a very unique ability now that it can one-shot most DPS it supports when you remech, something they've got to watch out for, but unfortunately Griffin's just going to get hooked there. The Roadhog play from Cordy already starting out very strong, and unfortunately Yin's going to get taken out as well by Wild Wing Bat, and that Nano Blade is going to be online incredibly quickly.
It's just going right up to the point here. We saw the Diva there. Actually, Silk is sticking on this Sombra. Was able to hack the Diva earlier. Now here comes another play from Griffin, trying again, but that Lucio is just going to get away. Now he's finding himself taking a lot of damage. Hacked and hooked right there. Yin trying to even it up, getting rid of Silk there. This could be the Lobos' chance to push forward here on this 5v5. Lucky trying to throw out some healing there to Critical, who is at critical health right now. Barry and Yin are going to be eliminated by UNLV. UNLV is just going to continue to be able to keep the Lobos from doing anything.
Yeah, and there's the Nano Blade that's going to come out from Wild Wing Bat. He's absolutely going to just slice through New Mexico. Going to pick up a pair of kills with it, send him right back to spawn. And I do like this Sombra pick from Silk Carpet and the fact that if you're trying to close hold, it can be very hard with just the respawn advantage. So that EMP is a very powerful ult. Silk Carpet's going to try something cheeky here.
And so Carpet very close to that EMP is just going to flash away there. So just trying to get a little bit of a distraction right there. Amp Matrix thrown down by Lucky, gonna snipe from up above. The only thing available to the Lobos is that Valk and Deadeye. As Garth finds himself hacked, is gonna be at half health. Valkyrie now used by Giraffe. Griffin is able to get a pick onto Wild Wing. Silk Carpet though answering that back. The minefield also taken out Barry. And as New Mexico's backline is going to find themselves hurting, Silk Carpet also getting the pick onto Yin there. It's actually the EMP was going to be used there too.
That was a huge, I think, 5-man EMP that came out from Silk Carpet. Absolutely shut down what New Mexico wanted to do. I mean, we talked about it. It's just like grab. Your Lucio has to avoid it and then throw down the sound barrier. Unfortunately, Barry about 2% away. But now there's several ults online for New Mexico. And here we go, aggro sound barrier. They want to take a fight.
They're looking to take this fight. Barry's going to find himself hacked there, but Yin is going to take up the first pick there onto Silk Carpet. They're still hanging on to their ultimates right now. Griffin down to half health, now using the Primal Rage, is going to heal back up and get right in the face of UNLV. A punch to the face for Yin, though, is going to stop that Meteor Strike. Deadeye is going to be used, but he is still holding on to it, just maybe for Doni purposes. Gonna get hooked again. That's the second time he's just been standing there with the Deadeye and gets taken out.
Yeah, I mean, I swear he still had a couple of opportunities. He just wasn't able to commit it fast enough. Was an interesting play there. You know, he actually nanoed Wild Wing bat. I think they were hoping he'd get the Dragon Strike a bit faster, so he won't have that nano available on his next ult unless he wants to hold on to it, but only with a minute left. You think he'll commit it rather quickly here, and I do think New Mexico's just spending way too many resources trying to take down Slamtaro on this Wrecking Ball, and he's doing a really great job of just kind of being in a nuisance, really, to New Mexico, and they're just never able to take him down.
There goes Wild Wing there. Hook thrown out is going to miss. Get hooked by the other Hog and taken out. Meteor Strike used by Yin, and an EMP is going to go on to 3 members of New Mexico, stopping them in their tracks and allowing Wild Wing to use this blade and only take out Barry before he gets stopped by Griffin. So a bit of tit for tat for both teams, but the main thing is that Lobo's still not pushing the payload.
Yeah, I mean, we just saw the difference right there, even from a talented player like Wild Wing bat. The difference between a nano and a non-nano Dragon Blade. That felt like a bit of deja vu there from Garth and Qwerty, as we're going to see in the final seconds. So just commit the whole Hog, try and push everybody off point, even gets a boop off the edge onto Griffin, but going to be very difficult to Slamtaro with a great flank there onto C6.
Slamtaro throwing out that minefield right onto the point. Wild Wing gets a pick onto Yin as Barry is all alone with that sound barrier. Last minute swap onto Winston from Griffin, but is he going to be able to even get to the point right now? It's Garth trying to keep that point moving, gets taken out by Silk. Now Griffin gets onto the point, throws down the shield, pushing some pressure onto Slamtaro right now. The Lobos slowly but surely taking this back. Qwerty is going to stop them. 2 punches to the face, taking out both supports for the Lobos, and that's the end of their hopes for this payload.
Yeah, they did an overall decent job. I think just the biggest issue was that we saw Garth just kept running up, trying to land a hook onto somebody on gas station roof, never could find it, and then Qwerty was just right around the corner and would just hook him in and get a huge kill. And I think we saw that just happen 2 spawns in a row. So it's going to be difficult here for New Mexico to try and hold this point, but I mean, we've seen that Garth and Griffin can do a lot of work, especially on that Ryan Zarya. So I mean, you're up against it right here. It's match point for UNLV. Maybe you bring out the heroes you're the best on.
Yeah, just try to bring out something early on to try to get that point. Don't even have to get to the first checkpoint there. I wouldn't really expect, excuse me, I wouldn't be surprised if UNLV just kind of pulls out something a little cheeky here, tries to just take the point all in one go, as we see Silk going over to the Mei there, but we also see a Torbjorn is going to be used right there. Yin still on this Doomfist, determined to try to make it work no matter what.
Hey, maybe I was wrong. Maybe this is something he plays, because we have not seen him swap off once. So maybe, maybe I was too quick to judge, and this is, he's almost like a mini Silk Carpet, and that he plays a lot of Doomfist. It's just, unfortunately, he hasn't been able to get the value that you would usually expect, and he just hasn't, of course, been able to put up the amount of pressure that Silk Carpet usually gets on that Doomfist. So maybe this is his map. Maybe this is his pop-off moment. Looks like he might even get pocketed by Giraffe there on that Mercy. If there's ever a moment for him, this would be right now.
Well, that damage boost is going to be ready here as UNLV pushes on to the payload, starts to get it moving. No pick coming out right there. They're just kind of waiting for their right moment. And here comes Griffin right onto the point all alone and almost got focused down instantly there. So Carpet taking a lot of damage from that turret there. So they're actually just hiding in the caves here, trying to get some sort of pick. Slamtaro trying to get some damage onto the front line of the Lobos there. Heal up coming up from Griffin. There is some damage. Orb Dart pushed out. Silk gets hooked by Griffin and quickly taken out as UNLV finding themselves having the same trouble the Lobos did getting around this corner.
Yeah, and that's a great hook there from Griffin. Unfortunately, the Roadhog healing is going to be a bit too much, but a great first hold there from New Mexico. They also get that res onto Garth to keep them at full strength longer. And this is setting up. I mean, they still got 3 minutes left, but it's setting up to be a good defense.
Yeah, good defense so far, but still have to hold it for 3 minutes. UNLV now might know the Lobo strategy of just sticking in this cave area here. We're going to see Slamtaro there as Karma is able to take out that Torp. Hook is going to miss from Griffin there. Wildwing pushes the bomb onto Yin and Garth taken out by QWERTY. And now UNLV has found their opening. Hook is going to be going on to QWERTY and hooked right back in response. Karma doing work on this Zenyatta with the help of that Amp Matrix, taking out all of the Lobos and guaranteeing UNLV's victory.
Yeah, just a great job by UNLV with the Amp Matrix, just throwing it down and kind of running over New Mexico. And unfortunately, Garth had just gotten, or Griffin, excuse me, had just gotten that full hog. So if he was able to get it off, maybe it's a different story. He can kind of push him away from that Amp Matrix. Unfortunately, just got hooked and taken down. And Mexico came pretty close to maybe holding there a little bit longer. Unfortunately, just a little too late for that whole hog to be charged.
Well, the ultimate takeaway I have from this match is just the amazing improvement that we saw from Slamtaro on that Wrecking Ball and really rounding out the threat that UNLV has. It's no longer kind of a game of just take out their most powerful DPS. They are much more of a well-rounded threat now.
Yeah, I thought Slamtaro responded well. I know last week it just didn't feel like that Wrecking Ball was that important and that special. But like you said, I think he did a good job responding. I think Wildwing back continues to be challenging Silk Carpet for maybe the best DPS player on this UNLV side, and the supports just doing what they do, playing very sound from Karma and Lucky Shaiko. And UNLV is looking like a team that is going to coast through the rest of the Mountain West right onto those playoffs. And they still have to take care of Fresno State. They've got a tough match, I think, later tonight against Colorado State as well, who's tied with Boise State for second place. So still some tough matches to go, but right now UNLV feels like they are on a different level.
Yeah, UNLV sitting pretty, still undefeated and starting off the night with force. But now we are going to hear from the Broncos and see if they can answer back that performance in their matchup coming up after this break, so stay tuned.
The news says Gen Z is struggling. I've got news for them.
I wait tables, but last week I built a field hospital.
I put out a forest fire.
I stopped 1,000 attackers.
And a natural disaster.
I've saved lives.
And led a team on patrol.
I serve.
Well, I go to school full-time.
While I work full-time.
The greater the challenge, the stronger we become.
Welcome back to to tonight's coverage of the Mountain West Esports Championship in Overwatch. We have just watched UNLV pull off a very convincing win against the New Mexico Lobos. But as I said at the beginning of tonight, it is a night of rivalries. That rivalry being between Boise State and UNLV, and we'll see how the Broncos answer that back as they are looking to go into their matchup against San Jose State University. I'm still your host, Jacob Jim Palmer, joined by Michael Fish Fisher. And Fish, you were talking just a little bit earlier about the Broncos and how much they have been playing in some finals and playoffs for tournaments. It's going to be a bit of a change of pace getting back to a regular season matchup.
Yeah, and it's just really going to be curious to see how the mental level of these players is. I mean, it's just so hard to go from those high impact, one series loss and you're out kind of games that we saw throughout this week for Boise State Overwatch and get back into, a more regular groove of, it is a regular season game. There still is a lot of pressure to win, especially to keep pace with UNLV. Make sure you get that second place spot, but it still is going to be very, very tough for Boise State just because they've been playing a lot of games. I mean, burnout is always something you've got to be worried about. I mean, finals week's also around the corner for Boise State, so there's a lot of things on these players' minds. So if they're able to rally with a great response here against San Jose State, that would go a long way into sending a message with the rest of the Mountain West that no matter what happens away from the Mountain West, Boise State's always able to refocus and try and keep pace with the rest of the conference.
Well, like I said, it is Boise State versus San Jose State University, and kind of looking at the general lineup of Boise State, we really see a well-rounded kind of sphere of what our students go through, from kinesiology to political science, I believe, finance, economics, computer science, and business. All majors which I have to imagine are facing quite a lot, as you said, for finals. But right now, are there any main players on Boise State that in your mind have really just been standing out lately?
I mean, I think for Boise State, the biggest standout has to be Plato, who has been absolutely phenomenal in those championship games that we were talking about. I mean, multiple player of the games earlier this week in the Play Versus tournament in both the semifinals, and I think it was definitely in consideration for the final. So he's a guy you got to watch out for. I think Guac even picked up the ICCU player of the game in the championship. I mean, so anytime you get sort of the MVP of the championship, at least from even from our awards, it's still something you got to keep an eye out for. So I mean, Plato DPS-wise has been phenomenal in the last few weeks, and Guac has always been solid as well. So those would be the two names I'd keep an eye out here for Boise State.
Well, it's Boise State versus San Jose State University in this Mountain West Esports Championship for Overwatch. Can the Broncos start off the night with a win? We'll find out.
Yeah, and San Jose State's one of those, upper tier teams that I think could definitely challenge for those top four spots. I know Boise State and UNLV probably feel like locks. I mean, UNLV and Boise State, I guess, would be the correct order. Colorado State definitely is going to be a very tough team, but they still have yet to play both Boise State and UNLV, and so it's going to be interesting. I think San Jose State's in sort of that three-team running, for at least what I know, of Colorado State, Fresno State, and San Jose State for the final two spots in the playoffs. So a win here would go a long way to sending a message to the rest of the conference, because Fresno State took Boise State to 5 games. So if they want to have the opportunity, San Jose State that is, to be able to be in that 4th spot, they're going to have to push Boise State as far as they can.
We also see Boise State here. We see that Nerdy, usually on support role, is going to be back to their favorite on the Diva, so that's always really fun to see. San Jose State University is going to be bringing out a Ryan Zarya composition, and Goblin might just try to take the point early and just set up all those turrets.
Yeah, you've seen the strategy a lot for Boise State. They symmetric teleport on with Goblin. If they win this first fight, it's so hard to push on with those symmetric teleporters, and with San Jose State falling back, he's going to get a great setup here.
Boise State taking the point very early. We see Maywell's going on at the point as San Jose State tries to push on. It's going to be met with so much damage from the Broncos. The large Bagel is able to take out the May there. San Jose might just have to reset here as Goblin is doing the main work for the Broncos, taking out Freezing, chasing after the rest. Going to pick up a double there onto Wiki, and then gets a triple there onto Gon. It's actually going to be Nerdy who gets the final shot of Gon.
Yeah, now it's going to be so hard for San Jose State to re-siege this point. Not only will there be some Metra turrets everywhere, they already have the photon barrier up. They have an ant matrix. Now, Elvin has his own ant matrix as well, but I mean, like I said, that photon barrier can just cut the damage in half. So almost for San Jose State, you want to try and bait this photon barrier out and save your ant matrix. So fast the ant matrix charges, you kind of got to use it right away as well.
Well, there goes the barrier right away, as well as the amp matrix, and a double flame strike onto San Jose, taking out both of their supports, leaving the rest of the team high and dry as Boise State charges through them. All members getting a little bit of that elimination action for themselves, and another reset.
Yeah, just a great job basically canceling out that ant matrix, and now you've got a Shatter online. You've also got the Deadeye online for both Gong and Plato, and there's a lot of places to line of sight, so I could just be seeing them use this zoning. But if Guac's able to land a huge Shatter before Kerrigan gets this sound barrier, it's going to be a rough spot for San Jose State to push into.
Well, it's going to be very close as Deadeye is thrown out. There goes the Mabel, blocking their sight for a little bit, and that Deadeye is just going to be negated by it. All the members of the Trojans are going to push around the point here. Shatter is going to find a lot of them, and those turrets do the rest of the work, but the sound barrier is used to counter it, as well as a Graviton Surge. But the Nerdy Bird bomb coming out onto a double there, keeping the Broncos alive, and a turret is going to clean that up by taking out the May. The Broncos are going to coast into this victory with their heads held high and a spring in their step.
Yeah, it was a scary moment there for Boise State, but luckily a large bagel had that sound barrier charge to answer the grab there for Wiki, and then the double kill from the Diva Bomb there from Nerdy Bird is unfortunately with overtime there. San Jose State just could not reliably run off point, and great first job there for Boise State, kind of keeping serve with UNLV in terms of dominating victories here tonight.
Okay, what's the possibility that you think that Bagel is going to get an environmental on this map? And is it going to be a single, or are we going to see some doubles or maybe even triples?
Triple's asking in for quite a lot there, but I would think that there's a pretty strong chance he'll at least be able to pick up one. And I do think it's interesting. I thought that, as I mentioned earlier, of all the players we've seen who've tried to play Doomfist against UNLV, I thought Gong had the most success. So I do find it slightly ironic that he hovered it for a bit, ends up going back to it. As I say, I find it ironic he doesn't want to play it against Boise State, but like I said, he kind of felt like maybe the second best Doomfist in the Mountain West from the ones we've seen. So Boise State's got to be careful, because I thought Gong played incredibly well against UNLV last week, and he's a force on this Doomfist.
Well, with the combination of that Torp turret and the Junkrat here, it looks like it's just going to be a long-range pepper damage into San Jose State, who tries to take this long route around here. Going to find themselves just showered with those Junkrat bombs. They're going to try to take the point first, but taking a whole lot of damage, and Elvin is going to be the first one taken out by Nerdy. They're putting the Broncos at the advantage, the favorites to take the point in this engagement, and Play-Doh also getting a triple on, now a quadruple onto San Jose State. That's the raw damage a Junkrat can put out.
Yeah, when you all group up like that, the Junkrat's just going to spam those grenades, and there's not a single thing you could do. So San Jose State, you see Wiki's going to swap over the Diva, wants to maybe be able to eat some of those with the defense matrix, but they got to make sure they try and stay as spread out as possible, as Goblin is literally inside his turret right now. So that could be something where San Jose State, talk about unexpected, I don't even know if they're going to be able to see him.
Yeah, this Junkrat is just catching San Jose off guard completely. A lot of damage going on to Kerrigan there, gradually healing back up, and now they come through with some help from that defense matrix from the Diva, but Goblin able to take out McCree there off the edge for that Riptire. Unfortunately, not going to find any mileage for the Broncos, so now this Amp Matrix is going to pick up the slack, pushing San Jose State off the edge. There is going to be Nerdy, and Asu also picking up Elvin there. And the Trojans just having a really hard time getting this point.
Yeah, that was an interesting Riptire. I mean, I can see what he was trying to do, but it just didn't quite work out. So, I mean, San Jose State, they're going to have sound barrier up maybe for the last fight, but it's going to be tough. But that's a great pick to start.
Great pick from Gone on that Hanzo, but taking a lot of damage in response. Molten Core coming out from Goblin right now. Wiki is down to about half health. Supercharger also used by Boise State, as well as that Pulse coming out there. Amp Matrix also thrown down in combination with that Diva Bomb, only going to take out the Immortality Field. Boise State passes 90% charge there. And that Pulse, I would expect coming out again pretty soon. That 2-second cooldown reduction doing wonders for whoever plays Orisa right now.
Yeah, I can't believe that. I mean, a lot of changes in this patch are absolutely insane. See, Elvin threw down the sound barrier. Large Bagel's going to answer. No, I don't know where. I think he got booped off trying to slam the sound barrier. I was waiting for it to go out. That's huge for Elvin, and I think that's going to allow San Jose State to extend this game. This Riptire has got to be huge. Oh, this one finally does make it over the gap, but just gets gunned down. So, yeah, that was a great boop. We were talking about environmental kills. It turns out to be Elvin's the one who got the huge environmental.
I mean, he didn't fall in the pit with that Riptire, but at what cost is the real question he has to ask himself there. Well, it's still going to pick up a double because, as you said, when they're all grouped up in that tiny room, the Junkrat is just happy to just push so much damage into it. And a last-second stall trying to come out from that Tracer, taken down by Nerdy on the pile of Diva there. That's going to do it for the Broncos, taking the first victory with force.
Yeah, and this is kind of what is really nice about having, a huge shout out to UNLV for sharing our games with them, is you kind of get this side-by-side comparison, and at least after game one there against San Jose State, Boise State just as strong.
Well, a quick recap of the overall rules for this regular season starts with 10 teams and 9 rounds, round-robin format. In best-of-5 matches, the loser is going to pick the next map, and the top 4 is going to be going on to playoffs. This is the 4th year in a row, and I got to say, top 4 going on to playoffs really opens up this general field, because it used to be only the top 2 teams would go to the final round. So that opens it up to a lot more teams, doesn't make it quite as high stakes as it was for the last regular seasons.
Yeah, it still puts a lot of pressure. You do not want to be in 4th place because it more than likely means you end up against UNLV. So Boise State, if your goal is a championship and to take down UNLV, you have to make sure you avoid an upset, because 4th place and playing UNLV in the semis is not the spot you want to be in for anybody in the Mountain West who's looking to get a championship in Overwatch this year.
Well, another shout out to Idaho Codes, a sponsored summer computer science program open to all 7th and 12th grade students who want to get involved in every Idaho school district, teaching coding and programming courses. Students who compete Idaho Codes have various credit opportunities and can network with those in the industries. Please encourage students in every district to register at idahocodes.org. Program free for the first 1,000 students, and there are options to participate either remotely or on campus. Also looking for mentors with a coding background with a $2,000 paycheck for that. Idaho Codes, check out more info on them. Now we move on into the second match, hybrid for this format. And I just generally would expect Kings Row. If Boise State, if they're not picking, it's just generally Kings Row.
Yeah, Kings Row is usually the most popular choice, and Boise State has kind of always had that mentality of if they do have to pick, they usually try and avoid Kings Row, but they've been picking it a lot more often, so I'll be curious to see what San Jose State has up their sleeve. I mean, it is good practices. I mean, you said a lot of teams are going to end up picking it, so maybe the Spartans will have some sort of tricky idea, maybe the Statue of Liberty, maybe something else. I know Boise State has their own sort of wonky defensive strategy where they kind of bait you to going onto the point, and then they all jump down and absolutely gun you down. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here in Game 2.
Well, Doc's keys to the game in Overwatch is to never take a fair fight, and that means to take fights in unexpected places when they're unprepared and don't take so gosh darn long. Doc's keys to the game brought to you by Count Identity Trust Global Network, delivering real-time fraud protection, account prevention, and enables personalized customer experiences for more than 9,000 leading brands and payment providers. Quick and accurate identity trust decisions deliver safe payment, account creation, login events while reducing digital fraud, chargebacks, false positives, and manual reviews. You can find out more at count.com, KOUNT.com.
Yeah,
well,
I mean, I was going to say, you talk about unfair fights, you got to watch out for where Goblin is. We didn't really see it on that map, but at Kings Row, where you get a little bit more of that verticality, you get a lot more open angles. I think it's going to be very, very interesting, and it looks like we'll now put Nerdy back on the support role. We'll bring Kel in here to reestablish the Boise State tank line.
We'll see if Boise State uses that wonky strategy we have been talking. Freezing is going to be actually just trying to decide what tank to use right here. It looks like it's going to be double shield brought out from San Jose. Boise State also using double shield.
Yeah, they usually bring the Orisa. It's been mainly a D.Va, though, so I'll be curious to see if they maybe try and go a bit more brawly. For now, though, they're still going to hold that high ground. They're going to want to try and bait San Jose State onto that point and then all jump down right on top of them. So if San Jose State can maybe crack this high ground, that go a long way into picking up this early victory. And that's a huge pick from Gong, going to get one onto a large big.
And Goblin also taken out by the Hanzo there. San Jose State is going to be able to push onto this point. The Broncos not going to be at full strength to use their usual strategy as Freezing Tide also takes out that Torp turret there. And Gone also taking out Cal Hanzo, hopping up to the high ground as well as Plato tries to pepper some sort of damage onto San Jose State, getting some sort of pick. But it is not going to work out as Guac and Goblin are taken out, and San Jose State take the point on their first push.
Yeah, they just got a couple of great picks, and it just feels like the strategy for Boise State may have, you know, gone by the wayside, because this is, I think, the third or fourth team in a row that's kind of just run right over them. So now it's Boise State's turn. They've got to swap a couple of heroes. Goblin's going to go onto that Doomfist. They'll bring out the Ryan D.Va. Plato's going to get reset as well. Be curious if he swaps. But if you can hold San Jose State here, it can also be a very, very tricky spot for the Spartans.
Boise State still not up to full strength. Going to be swapping off the Torb, going on to the McCree. And both Plato and Goblin doing amazing work with McCree. So it's going to be fun to see this unfold as Goblin is trying to take a side route here, looking for a pick onto San Jose State. As they push around the corner here, having two ultimates available to them. Kel going very low on health, as well as Guac and Goblin taken out by that Zen. Guac and Kel are going to start healing back up again as Amp Matrix thrown down by San Jose, pushing a lot of damage onto Boise, as well as the Hulk coming out, trying to drag them into that Dragon Strike. Not going to work out as Gone is able to take out D.Va, though, and get rid of her in fast order, as the Broncos are just finding a really hard time defending here.
Yeah, unfortunately, they weren't able to get any picks with Goblin. He got immediately taken out. They did get the Transcendence baited out from Kerrigan, and he had to use that defensively, which was something that happened a lot last week as well. But none of that's going to matter because San Jose State's just going to push right on top, and they're going to have 5.5 minutes. So we've seen teams fall apart trying to push. This is a very, very hard spot to push into, but 5.5 minutes is quite a lot of time.
Kel trying to get a pick there, stunned by that accretion, gonna go across into the back line, and that Junkrat very low on health, is healed up though. Now trying to go after this Zen here, pick up the health pack, but it's not gonna be enough. Now down to Baby D.Va there. Goblin taking out Karazhan there, and Plato is able to take out Drenzy as well. But Freezing Tide and Gone answering that back and evening it up just a little. San Jose State still finds himself with the advantage. Shatter coming on to San Jose State, but just really no follow-up.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's no one there. They were scared of that Ant Matrix. Elvin incredibly low, though. Could be a huge pick here for Boise State. Unfortunately, it's Goblin who will go down first. He has just not had the game that you would hope for on Kings Row. And both the Ant Matrix will be wasted. Dragon Arrow's going to come through or be able to take down or at least one member there, as Plato does get one back onto Kerrigan. Both teams now down to support, but Gong's got that Riptire. Boise State's got to be careful. Dragon Strike for Goblin's available. He's going to send it right through, maybe get one back. Ooh, not quite.
Not quite there, and is now going to try to get a hit onto the backline from the high ground. San Jose State still at full health right now, full strength I mean, with that Shatter and Riptire available to them. Boise State not close to any of their ultimates really right now. Shatter's going to be the closest one for them, and San Jose State hasn't really been pushing the payload. It's just been trying to wait to see if they can get a pick onto here, and we might have this Baby D.Va going up against the Junkrat here if they're able to find the right, actually able to get the remake there as well as the Flame Strike, and that is such a powerful buff, and we're seeing that remake used in ways we have never seen it before, Fish.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think he was trying to wait for Gong to use the Riptire, which comes out now, and was trying to catch it while he had the Riptire out. Just couldn't quite get him. Gong was ready for that one. And San Jose State, I mean, they've lost 2 minutes here, but they really feel like they haven't lost the fight at all. They're going to need a clean wipe on Boise State with how the respawns are situated, but with that Transcendence and that Gravitic Flux, Boise State's going to have a very, very tough time trying to defend this.
Transcendence is also used as the Diva Bomb comes out, and Gravitic Flux is going to catch some of the members of Boise State off guard. Immortality Field keeping Nerdy and Guac alive just a little bit. Kel finding a lot of damage. Is going to have to use Baby Diva now and is able to pick off Drenzy there. And this could be a great defense at the last moment as Nerdy is able to take out the Zen, and Plato also taking out Wiki. Sports coming through in spades for Boise State, taking out the members of the Trojans and keeping the Broncos' hopes alive.
Yeah, now they're going to have Bob for this next fight, which is huge in terms of flipping the fight. They just got to be careful for Boise State. The biggest thing is they can't commit all three of these ultimates at the exact same time. They need to space them out. If they can dodge a shatter, that'd be huge. But unfortunately, a great pick there from Drenzy and from Elvin's going to make it very tough here for Boise State to defend.
Well, they're going to place Bob out onto the point to push some damage. Bob is in danger of being knocked over the edge right now, but is still pushing out damage. We see Amp Matrix thrown down as well as Dragon Strike used by Boise State. Two, in fact, from both teams. We also saw Lucio being used by Bagel there to keep the Broncos alive, but no real eliminations from all those Qs being pressed right now. Now Kel's going to find himself in Baby Diva and has been able to get a few picks off in Baby Diva form. So doing great work there. That call mech ability isn't going to come into play as he gets taken out by Freezing Tide, who also gets rid of Guac, and the tanks for San Jose State clean up the work. Now it's just pure stall from Boise State. Plato, though, pushed off the point, and San Jose State takes the third point.
Yeah, just a great push by San Jose State. I mean, unfortunately, Boise State just did not have the enough. Tench had too much time to defend against. I mean, 5.5 minutes. They bled it all the way down to 141. And I mean, I would be shocked if we don't go into overtime, but it is going to put a lot of pressure on Boise State to definitely mow through points 1 and 2 very, very quickly, or they could find themselves on the losing end in the time bank going into overtime.
Well, I gotta hand it to Boise State with San Jose State going in with as much time as they had. They had about 5 minutes. Broncos were able to shave off about 3.5 minutes from that, so they did a fairly good time. If they can have a good push here and at least get it to overtime with a respectable amount of time on their clock, they could see some great things coming their way, as Goblin is going to be on the Reaper for the first time tonight. And both McCree and Reaper are kind of favorites for Boise State's DPS.
Yeah, and the McCree and the Reaper, some of the Hanzo, I mean, and the Tracer as well. Goblin has definitely expanded his hero pool passages, the Torbjorn that he would pop off on when he first joined the Boise State team. So I think he's done a really good job expanding. I know Reaper's been sort of that new love of his that he's been trying to master. He played in a tournament with a 4700 Reaper who kind of inspired him. So we'll see. I mean, it is high risk, high reward. I know he was telling us that he has about 30 elims per 10, but also 10 deaths per 10. So he's going to get a lot of kills. He's also going to die probably a little bit more than Boise State might want, but it's those kills that if he gets them, really doesn't matter what happens afterwards.
And Boise State, San Jose trying to use kind of Boise State's strategy of taking that high ground, but the Maywall went up very early, and with some help from Nerdy, speed boosting the rest of the Broncos, they were able to get to the point really fast. That Maywall also peeling off the Trojans as well, taking out Freezing Tide and gone. Guac is just going to be more than happy to swing his hammer into San Jose, picking up 4 in that fight.
Yeah, I mean, I said Boise State had to try and match the speed of San Jose State, and so far they've done that. They quickly cap point 1. No one is on the payload, though, for some reason, which is
a little too fast.
Yeah, never want that to happen. That's just a minor miscommunication. Usually you want one of your supports back there, so somebody got a bit overzealous, but other than that, it was a great start for Boise State, and that will cost them a little bit, but luckily San Jose State was setting up for a late hold here on point 2, so they're really not going to lose too much ground on that payload, just a couple of seconds.
Shatter now available for Guac. You also see Goblin hiding back, and that May wall is going to peel off the Reinhardt, and Shatter going on to San Jose. But is the follow-up going to come through? Kel is able to take out Drenzy, and a large bagel taking out Freezing Tide as well. San Jose was able to get one onto Goblin, but it's the Broncos with the advantage as Amp Matrix is thrown down onto the payload. Guac taking out Kerrigan, and with the support down for San Jose and a pin onto that Zarya, the Broncos continue their push forward.
Yeah, it's a great job there with the sort of wall and maul by Plato, where he catches Freezing Tide on the wrong side of the wall, and then as soon as he goes to the left to try and avoid that damage, it was a great recognition by Guac to just immediately say, okay, you're not going to have a shield anymore. I'm just going to throw down the Shatter, gets huge value. Boise State can get a good blizzard here. They might be able to start to snowball, and I'll be curious. It looks like San Jose is just going to let him get this point.
Plato is going to get stunned right there as the freeze comes on to Kerrigan, who is able to get away. Amp Matrix thrown down by San Jose, and Boise State is going to use the Graviton Surge and the follow-up Flame Strike to push a lot of damage there as Kerrigan and Wiki are taken out as a result of that, as well as Drenzy, Gone, and Elvin now, and Boise State trying to stagger it out with the push all the way toward the spawn point. The question is, has Guac pushed in too far? Does he have the support that he needs? He's going to take a little bit of damage as Large Bagel is keeping the payload moving.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to try and do the exact same thing that San Jose State attempted to do, which is just hold them in their spawn. Unfortunately, Drenzy's going to get a first. Great pick there. Now, you see San Jose State, they're just going to absolutely charge at Boise State. Immortality Field shuts down the Death Blossom. Goblin's looking for it, just immediately stopped there by Gong, and that, unfortunately, is not the value Boise State wanted on that Death Blossom.
Unfortunately not. They're going to have to wait for a full reset here, and Kerrigan still has that Lucio beat to use as a bit of defense if Boise State wants to use any of their ultimates, like that Shatter, which isn't going to find anything, just going to go right into that shield, and that Deadeye is going to take out Large Bagel. Boise State finding themselves again running into a strong defense from San Jose. Yeah, and the problem is the next fight's not looking too favorable either, because Wiki's going to have that grav up, and you see Nerdy Sound Barrier only at 50%. No way is it going to charge fast enough unless they get a huge pick onto Wiki. So, I mean, this could be a second setup fight win. You can build some more ultimates as well from San Jose State. So, the Spartans are set up in a spot where they can maybe start to snowball this defensive effort. Yeah, the Spartans, excuse me, I'm sorry. And now Gone is able to get a double there as Wiki is taking out the Immortality Field. San Jose, 4 ultimates to their name right now. Freezing Tide also, it's just basically 5 right now for this next push.
Yeah, you just got to make sure you don't throw them all out at once. That's how you let Boise State in. If you stagger these ults properly from San Jose State, then it goes a long way. Double Amp Matrix comes down and both teams get a pick.
Goblin doing great work, and Guac finding himself caught right in, both tanks caught in that Dragon Strike, which turns it around, and Goblin is able to take out Gone, and now Drenzy, and turning it around as Nerdy and Goblin keeping Boise State's alive, and there's a great pick onto Kerrigan as well. Well, Goblin on this Widowmaker, pushing the Broncos forward.
I mean, that was perfectly played from San Jose State. They got the grab dragons they wanted, but when you have a Widowmaker, they're never going to be, you know, I guess we'll keep the praise up, but they're never going to be next to that grab. Nerdy's going to respond back with a boop, though, onto Wiki, so they trade 1 for 1. Sound Barrier's going to come out for both Kerrigan and Nerdy at the same time. Grab, as soon as the Sound Barrier falls off from San Jose State, they're going to try and throw down a Hail Mary Immortality Field. They get a huge Shatter right as they take down the lamp. And that should allow Boise State to cap this one.
And with more time left than the Spartans, they go into overtime with the advantage now. And Goblin with another double there. And Guac's going to charge into the Abyss just to make sure Goblin doesn't feel left out.
Yeah, I mean, that was really just Goblin absolutely popping off. And I mean, I think that solo play alone almost might deserve ICCU Player of the Game awards, because I mean, they played it perfectly for San Jose State. They got the grab, they got the dragons, there was no Sound Barrier in response from Boise State, and they ripped through everybody, but a Widowmaker's never going to be close to the fight. Goblin played that perfectly, got, I think, 3 headshots in a row, got another one at the very end onto Kerrigan, and absolutely allowed Boise State to keep their push moving. Without that hero play from Goblin on the Widowmaker, falling off the edge aside moments later, I don't think Boise State has nearly as much time as they do.
San Jose, the Spartans are going to be the first one to push here. Boise State setting up their defense, which I don't know if they'll go for the same high ground strategy because it really hasn't been working out for them.
No, they're going to go with the standard there with the Ryan and the Diva. They're going to want to fight right on top of that point, which I think they've done a couple times when they have got into overtime. So maybe kind of realizing, you know, that strategy might be, you know, something you shelve, maybe put it on the back burner for a couple weeks until teams forget about it. So it's going to be interesting because I don't know if San Jose State is expecting Boise State to go back to their tried and true strategy, or if they're just going to be ready for an all-out brawl right on top of the parking spot.
Guac and Nerdy both hiding out in this statue here, although the shield kind of gives you away. So the Spartans kind of knowing they're there, and the Maywall goes up trying to peel off the Broncos, but they are all bunched up there. They're going to throw out their own Maywall. Immortality Field keeping the Spartans alive as Kell is able to get a pick onto Drenzy there. Boise State still at full strength, keeping the Spartans from getting toward the point. Hammer going right into Gone there. And Gon's taken out. Boise State's going to continue pushing into Wiki as well. Charge toward the point. Oh, just getting away by the skin of their teeth there.
That was a great first start for Boise State, and with the amount of time on the clock, San Jose State's going to have to be very careful. They're going to swap over to the Ryan Zarya, but unless Wiki or Freezing Tide plays absolutely out of their mind in the next 40 seconds, they're not going to have an ult for this first capture, so they're going to need a huge pick. If Boise State with the Ant Matrix, they throw it down now, they might be able to get a great pick, but it's a huge Maywall from Gong to shut that down.
And both Maywalls going up there, blocking each other off. Ant Matrix now might be able to try to chip away at that Ryan shield there. Immortality Field taken out by Kellen. Another two Maywalls being thrown up, as well as Blizzard and Deadeye. Goblin able to pick up one there, and Nerdy taking out Freezing Tide, but Wiki and Elvin fighting back, taking out Cal, Nerdy, and a large bagel. And the Spartans have found the first point, or trying to get one tick, but the Broncos are stalling it out for as long as they can. Not going to make it right now. Now the Spartans are going to have to stay on that point because they have no time left.
Yeah, only one team fight needed here for Boise State to win, and unfortunately, they just didn't. They had the ult advantage, but Plato threw that Blizzard down. I don't think it landed onto any of the members of San Jose. They had already rotated onto the point to start capturing it, so just a great job. Heads up recognition by San Jose State rotating over, and now they just got to make sure that if they keep winning, that they don't get baited off the payload, because we've seen that quite a bit recently with teams kind of ending the game while they're still alive. The only acceptable way to end overtime is with everybody dead in the spawn. You do not want to have a C9 moment happen here.
Steve Maywall going up there. We also see Graviton Surge coming out as Immortality Field is taken out. There goes the bomb there. Not going to pick up anybody, though. Another Maywall coming up. These Maywalls have just been insane. Trying to block each team. Stunned there from the flashbang from the McCree there, and Deadeye is also going to go on to that Diva mech there. Wiki taking out Kel, but answered back by a large bagel as Boise State finds himself up 1, now 2 in this engagement. Gone and 11 taken out, followed by Kerrigan and Wiki, and that does it for the Spartans' overtime push.
Yeah, Boise State had quite a lot of ultimates. They had the Diva Bomb. They had a second Blizzard come up for Plato as well. I think a second Deadeye, and it was a great sound barrier there by Nerdy. Unfortunately, just beat the Shatter by a few seconds, but that shield, I think, allowed them to survive through the Shatter. They had already prevented a lot of damage, and now this very winnable for Boise State. They basically just need to get on the point quickly and win one fight, and they easily can take this from San Jose State and put themselves on match point.
Is this the time when you think Boise State tries the cheeky Statue of Liberty play, or is there too much on the line right now?
No, because I think Boise State has to believe that you're the better team, and when you're the better team, you don't think that you need to do something cheeky or something cheesy, because then that lets the other team know, well, mate, they're not as confident as we think they are. So if you're Boise State, you just absolutely slam it right in San Jose State's face. You do not allow them to have any moment where you allow the enemy to think, well, wait, maybe they aren't so confident in their abilities. I mean, the Statue of Liberty, it has a place in our heart for several reasons, but it's just one of those where the time is not correct to pull it out, because I think it would be more beneficial to San Jose State than it would be to Boise State in every single facet.
Boise State appears right now is just going to be going full speed on that Lucio to charge to the point. Maybe a pick coming through here or there from Goblin on that Widow. San Jose with the Ryan Zarya composition. Both Mays still in play, so those Maywalls could come into huge factor right there, as Boise State is going to be split up from that Maywall. Going to have to wait for it to break for their backline to catch up with them, but they're going to split up the Spartans as well, and they push right onto the point, trying to get that first tick, but are pushed back off from a full-strength San Jose, and Wiki getting a pick onto a large bagel there. That's the main healing for Boise State, not available to them, but Goblin fighting back with this Widowmaker, evening it up for the Broncos and putting them back at the advantage, and now they are going to capture the point, trying to get a pick onto this Reinhardt here. The Maywall's not going to split them up.
Yeah, Maywall just used defensively. Then another Maywall goes down from Gong that kind of cuts his own team off, which is very questionable. See if San Jose State opts for one more contest. Oh. No, they're not. So Boise State just needs to win one fight here, and they've got about 1:45 to do it.
Yeah, they have some time. There's no one pushing. Okay, there we go. Now we get someone pushing. It was just coming out of the garage there. I was worried that they were being a little bit too, aggressive there, like they were last time. But now we reach this choke point here, where it's going to be insane. The Broncos might throw down this amp matrix here, aren't able to pick up. There they go.
I mean, we talked about it. We've seen teams in the last few weeks just really have issues with the objective, and San Jose State forgets that you have to contest the payload in order for it to stop moving, and that is exactly what happened. I know there was a good Maywall down there from Plato, but Freezing Tide had the angle, so just a mistake there, unfortunately, by San Jose State. They had an Ant Matrix up as well. They might have been able to win it. Maybe they might have even thrown the Ant Matrix down and were trying to sit behind it, so just an unfortunate mistake, but Boise State came out on top. I mean, they had time for a couple of fights, so who knows what would have happened. But great job for Boise State. They took what San Jose State gave them, and unfortunately the Spartans just gave them a win.
Well, now Boise State is going to be moving on to their match point. It's going to be Escort, with the Spartans getting the choice of the map. You can see there Boise State getting the victory in those first two maps. Nepal and Kings Row. Havana is going to be picked, the favorite, as we've been saying, for push, and the first point, right, that, you know, if Goblin has already turned it around with this Widowmaker, him on defense on Havana with that great sight line, it's just begging for him to choose it again.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really hard for San Jose State to be able to avoid the Goblin Widowmaker, because they really haven't had an answer for it. So maybe they bring out their own Widowmaker and try and challenge him there. I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see what San Jose State has up their sleeve, because they were the ones who picked this map. So they clearly have some kind of idea. They don't want to just pick a map that favors Boise State and just wrap up the night. I don't think that's how the Spartans are approaching this. So I'll be very, very curious to see what San Jose State has up their mind for picking this map for what could be our final of the night here between these two teams.
What's really interesting about Havana is we haven't really seen it go to the third point, really. We've seen a lot of holds before they even get to the Rum Factory, of course. That particular building, a lot of great memories for Boise State, is Quidgible getting kind of the play of the year in that area there with his almost complete team wipe. I believe he had help from one Boise State team member there, but was credited with every single elimination onto the opposing team. But Boise State's going to be hoping that they don't even allow the Spartans to get to that point, as they're going to have a heavy defense.
Yeah, I mean, it's really going to be in strange choice from San Jose State. I mean, you would have thought they would want to pick something that has a bit more of sightline disruption to stop that Widowmaker. So I am really interested to see how the Spartans come out and attack, because it feels like, for the most part, when you look at it, it feels like Boise State has had the advantage most of the time. But San Jose State came out strong on Kings Row. I think they kind of maybe cracked the Boise State puzzle. And I was going to say, I didn't think that was the Havana picture, but I was... a little, I couldn't tell from my view because they look very similar.
The architecture is.
I was like, I don't think that's Havana.
Rialto, excuse me.
Yeah,
I saw the arched windows at the top, and my mind immediately went to Havana.
Yeah, I was like, you know what, I guess, similar architecture as you said, but it's still, I mean, the issue is going to be, I mean, and we saw Beanie Bum have this absolute pop-off moment last week where I think he got like 4 boops in 2 minutes, maybe even less here, defending. So, I mean, see what Nerdy Bird can do, see if they can match that or maybe even one up that, because San Jose State's got to be ready for those boops off the edge, because there are a ton of opportunities, especially Plato has the ability to throw some people off as well.
Yeah, back on the Junkrat for him, and Kell's going to be able to take out Freezing Tide. Asu was picked off early on, and now Plato is as well. You see Asu respawns there, but a great start for the Spartans as they push forward, pushing some damage as Guac is going to swing back against that Zarya, but Nerdy and Goblin are taken out, pinned by the Reinhardt, and the bubble goes up there. And now that Guac finds himself all alone, and the Spartans push forward.
Yeah, just unfortunately, Boise State kind of got rolled in that first fight and just lost members too quickly. I'll be curious to see, since they lost Nerdy early enough, that they can taxi the rest of the teams back, the rest of the members back in if they go for a contest. But that headshot onto Plato is going to make it very tough. But Asu gets one onto Gong, so we got a 5v5. We got a contest.
We do indeed, but Drenzy is keeping the pressure on the Broncos by taking out Guac, and a Deadeye is going to find Asu as well. Goblin gets hit with the anti, finds himself in trouble on this Tracer, heals back up, hit with the Sleep Dart. A lot easier to hit a Tracer once the Sleep Dart goes onto her. And now we see Freezing Tide using that Primal Rage as well as a Nano Boost coming out, able to take out Nerdy with that one. And Elvin getting rid of Kel. And now pressure going on to Asu to stagger out the Broncos even more. The Spartans take the first checkpoint.
Yeah, unfortunately for Boise State, Wiki with that nanoed help got the grab up in time, and you see Nerdy only at 90%, and if you don't have sound barrier for grab, and unless you get an insanely cheeky immortality field, there's just not really a way to win those fights unless the enemy team isn't there to follow up the grab. So great job there by Wiki, just landing a grab and letting his team do the rest of the work.
Now the Broncos going to drop down from the upper level here on Guac's signal on that Wrecking Ball. Kel does have Whole Hog available, and Sticky Bomb going out, and the Whole Hog getting a double as well, a triple now onto San Jose State. Gonna find the team kill and stop them right in their tracks.
Yeah, they just walked into that Whole Hog, and Kel was totally okay with that. The Roadhog swap paying huge dividends. Now Boise State's going to have the sound barrier up as well in case they need to respond to any large chunk of damage, and they're going to put themselves in a very, very favorable spot. The only thing that could be concerning is if Boise State commits a sound barrier early, that means it's not going to be synced up with the grab in time.
Well, there goes a hook onto the Zarya, dragging her back out. But Kel is finding himself focused on by too many people. That sound barrier not used by Nerdy. So Boise State is just going to have to reset here for another full contest and wait to stop the Spartans then.
That's the right play there for Nerdy. You have to make sure your grab and your sound barrier are kind of synced up, even though they're on opposite sides, as they're going to get a great flashbang and a headshot on the Goblin. So, like I said, it's got to make sure if you're Nerdy that you hold on to that sound barrier as long as possible, as they're going to nano Freezing Tide and let him just run in.
Now Freezing Tide going in, using the Primal Rage, but here comes Guac throwing out that minefield on the point, and it's going to pick up Kerrigan right away as Immortality Field is thrown down. Deadeye and Amp Matrix. Deadeye finds two, Goblin and Nerdy Bird, and Boise State is stopped right there. Guac trying to bring it back, was able to pick out Drenzy, but Broncos having to reset again, trying to keep the Pilot Diva alive, but she is not able to remech. Asu used the Coalescence there. And now Plato using the Meteor Strike, though, still trying to give some life to the Broncos. Dragon Strike also coming out. It looks like they actually managed to hold the Spartans this time.
I was just about to say San Jose State had an easy win set up with a grab and no sound barrier, and then Wiki solo grabs a Baby Diva. I mean, that one was tough for San Jose because they just threw away what should have been an easy .2 capture. Now Boise State gets a free recontest, and they're going to have a couple of ults coming up soon in that minefield, and hopefully that Diva buff.
Now the Diva's mech is trashed by Gone, and Wiki also picking up Kel there. Boise State answering that back, taking out Freezing Tide, so both off tanks taken out, actually both two tanks taken out. There goes the main tank for the Spartans. Drenzy taking out Plato before he can get him, and now a pick onto Goblin as well, who's been doing very good work on the Hanzo as Gone.
Yeah, you see the minefield come down there from Guac. They're going to nano Wiki this time because they want to try and build that grab as fast as possible. Dragon Strike's going to come out. Not able to find anything, neither is the Diva Bomb. Coalescence used from Asu, but he immediately gets stunned off of it. And now Wiki, if he can hold his grab and, you know, not trigger finger, he's going to drop it right on the point, and Boise State's not going to have an answer for it.
Boise State still keeping the payload from being pushed here. Guac still finds himself alive, and so does the Tracer. is now going to be taken out by Wiki. There goes down Nerdy Bird as well. But Kel coming out with the stagger, just trying to burn off as much time from that clock. Goblin eliminated by Freezing Tide. We see Meteor Strike coming out from Play-Doh now. And in comes Guac for reinforcements, but Play-Doh is eliminated. So now it's up to Kel and Play-Doh, both tanks, to try to keep it going. But Guac, Asu, it's just pure stagger from Boise State at this point.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're not able to hold off that long as Nerdy gets taken out of the final elimination, but does have the sound barrier up. I mean, I can see what Boise State was trying to do. They were trying to stall out, maybe get them to overtime and win a fight. So it'll be curious to see if they want to save for a grab Dragons if you're San Jose State. I mean, Gong's going to have Dragons probably about 15 seconds, maybe one whole fight before Wiki. So Boise State's got to be very, very careful in their sound barrier usage as a pulse bomb goes out. They're not able to find elimination, and here comes the Dragons.
Dragons not going to take out anybody, though.
Get outside.
Yeah, just a bit of a miss right there. Elvin throwing down that amp matrix, though. Goblin taken out by Freezing Tide there. Now that puts the Broncos down one as we get toward the final point here. Nerdy is going to be using that sound barrier, keeping them alive in response to that Graviton Surge and Deadeye. Now the Broncos fighting back, taking out Wiki. Play-Doh eliminated by Drenzy, though. Now here comes Nerdy with help from Guac, taking out Freezing Tide. Now going to be focusing on Elvin, who Goblin takes out there, and the Broncos keeping the defense going.
Yeah, great sound barrier there to answer the grab, and Boise State's going to have that defender respawn advantage, and it set them up in a very good spot to where they can kind of trade 1 for 2 and 2 for 3 because they get those quick respawns. As Anando's going to go on to Guac. He's going to start swinging.
He just swings his hammer right into the Spartan's face. Now has the Shatter available, but now it would just be win more, so he's just happy. Pushing the remaining members of the Spartans back now onto the boat there with the Flame Strike. That's a Reinhardt at his happiest right there.
Yeah, Reinhardt's love getting nanoed, especially when they don't get punished for just dropping the shield and swinging. So last chance here for San Jose State. They've got a sound barrier, but Boise State might just try and stall them out and not let them get to the point. And it's really going to be up to Guac. If he can land a huge shatter here, he's going to stop them, and they're kind of going to C9 themselves by not getting to the point in time.
Well, here it comes. Can he land that shatter and stall out the Spartans? There goes the Graviton Surge. And now as soon as the shield goes down, a huge shatter onto the Spartans, followed up by the Flame Strike. The Broncos keep them from getting the 3rd point. They're trying to rush on there. One of them sneaks back, though, to try to get to it. But the Broncos focus him down very quickly and stop.
Yeah, it was just a great combo play by Guac and Kel. You get the grab to group them all up. You wait for that shield to either break or be put down while it recharges, and he immediately found his opportunity with an absolutely fantastic shatter. And that's going to give Boise State a chance to win this map. I mean, they're still going to have to come out very strong. I mean, we saw San Jose State roll Boise State on point number 1 offensively, so it's not going to be an easy task. But the only thing that matters is that it's a winnable task here for Boise State, and they can hold serve with UNLV and 3-0 their first opponent on the night.
That would be a great start. It would really set the pace of the overall evening. Just kind of show the top 2 teams in the Mountain West, both UNLV and the Broncos, getting a 3-0 victory to start things out. See Play-Doh now swapping over to that Doomfist. Goblin still staying on the Widowmaker.
Yeah, I think that Widowmaker is going to be very, very interesting for Goblin attacking-wise in terms of what he wants to do with it. I mean, you got Nerdy on the Mercy, which is also a very, very interesting choice, just in the fact that Boise State doesn't have a traditional pocket hero in a sense like a Pharah or an Echo or even an Ashe. I mean, I would say Widow's probably last on that tier list in terms of things you want to kind of pocket. So I'll be very curious and how long he stays on that Widowmaker, or maybe he just goes for a pick and then immediately swaps off, because you don't need to power up a headshot. It's a one-shot kill on any support.
Now here comes the Broncos starting their push right now. Goblin already up to basically a quarter charge on that Widowmaker. Though it's not the most impactful ultimate of the game, but still impressive for him as the Broncos round this first corner. Kel going to be on the front line, taking a lot of damage, down below half health, is able to jump back and heal back up.
Yeah, I'll be curious. I mean, we see Gong on this Doomfist. We know how capable he is after last week. And with Nerdy being on a grounded Mercy without a Pharah, they definitely are pick opportunities. But he's going to get stunned up there. Guac will as well. There's going to be a nice two-man anti onto Freezing Tide and onto Kerrigan. Boise State's going to try and punish, but Gong gets that first elimination, like I talked about, onto Nerdy. Good thing, though, Boise State's able to respond with 3 of their own, make it 4. And Gong, unfortunately, gets the pick, but just gets run down. And great response there for Boise State to back up their support.
And a final toss into the drink there for Wiki. It's going to allow the Broncos to come right in. The Spartans are going to find themselves staggered and might just they're going to let the Broncos have the first checkpoint.
And that headshot onto Kerrigan definitely sealed things in terms of allowing that. Plato's going to get a great pick onto Gong. And Boise State playing like a different team right now. I think they maybe went a little too easy on San Jose State in those last couple of rounds there, because they're speeding right through them. Guac gets the nano, but he just unfortunately can't push that far forward. Nice res there by Nerdy, and no punish from San Jose State.
Well, now he has the Shatter available. His infrared sights is used. He might try to go around the corner here to try to pick them up. He is faced with that Tracer there off to his right. Here comes Meteor Strike from Plato. And the shield is thrown right up. Plato is able. There goes a huge Shatter onto the Spartans. And the follow-up is going to pick up Kerrigan. Kel is taken out by Gon, who now uses his own Meteor Strike, as well as a nano thrown out by Elvin, able to take out Asu. Now the Broncos without their main healing. Nerdy trying the best they can on that Valkyrie, but it's just going to have to be a reset.
Yeah, unfortunately that Shatter looked great on paper, but it's another one of those where there just was no support for the side of Boise State, beside really Guac, and so he got a Shatter, and I think he got just one elimination when there were multiple chances. And Boise State unfortunately is going to get pushed back. They're going to swap things up. They'll go over to that Zarya, but Goblin is still absolutely clicking on heads right now, and he's been the bright spot here for Boise State, especially with this Widowmaker play.
There goes the sleep dart onto that Tracer, soon taken out by Goblin. Kel taken out again by Wiki there. Going to even it up. Rally used by Kerrigan. The Broncos don't find themselves with any ultimates. Freezing Tide is taken out by Guac. Gon answering that back, taking out Asu, and then is quickly taken out by Goblin as well. And now trying to get a shot onto the Zarya there. Infrared sights used immediately by the Broncos there. Now they're trying to push to the second checkpoint.
Yeah, trying to find one more good pick here for Goblin. Can't quite get the sight line. There is a grab up for Wiki, and Boise State does not have a great response in any sort of the matter to it. As a Meteor Strike's going to come out, there's that grab from Wiki. It's only going to land onto a couple, but paired up with that Meteor Strike and no defensive ult for Boise State, there really wasn't anything they could have done.
Yeah, the Broncos seem to be a little bit trigger happy on their ultimates. They've basically used all of them as soon as they've come online.
Yeah, I mean, the Widowmaker ult is definitely understandable, as you mentioned. It's more of a scouting ult. But yeah, Boise State definitely, I think, thought maybe they could run down San Jose State, sort of snowball in a sense with their ults. And really, I think just it was a great job by Wiki realizing, you know what, I can just throw out a grab. I mean, there's no response. Valkyrie's at best, and I mean, Nano can only save one person, but now you got a Primal Raging Freezing Tide here, testing the limits of the Skybox, and Boise State's going to get caught up in one very, very small chokehold. That's the last place you want to be with a Raging Gorilla.
Yeah, they really haven't been able. Well, they push it a little bit there. Spike, Gon, and Kerrigan doing great work there. One of the Broncos was able to kind of sneak around and push it forward just a little bit more.
Yeah, Boise State's going to have to regroup, and we saw San Jose State fall into this similar trap where they almost ran out of time on that second checkpoint. So Boise State, I mean, familiar territory. They have a couple of ults coming up soon in the Grav and the Primal Rage. San Jose State, similar to Boise State, won't have a great answer. They'll have the rally from Kerrigan, so if Boise State can bait that out first, they might be able to turn this into a fight win in the long run. And there's that immediate rally. That's huge for Guac. As soon as he gets that grab online, he can drop it as soon as the rally fades.
And he does right there. Siggy Bomb going on to Nerdy. Plato is able to take out Freezing Tide. Still winnable for the Broncos as they find themselves even There goes the Meteor Strike, not going to pick up anybody. Boise State still having the Nano Boost and the Primal Rage available. Goblin taking out Drenzy, followed by Kerrigan. And there goes the Nano Boost from Asu. And the Broncos are going to have to take out the Winston before they reach the second checkpoint. Able to focus down Wiki. Now Winston after that, and they pick up their second checkpoint.
It's unfortunate San Jose State couldn't stalled out for a bit longer, as they would have been in the same spot that they could have put Boise State in a similar spot. They were just in a grab with no defensive cooldown. So Boise State gets the time extension, but Wiki should have a fight winner with that grab. But Nerdy's close to the rally, so if they can get that grab off sooner rather than later, San Jose State could burn a significant chunk off this 2 minutes of Boise State.
Well, here come the Broncos again with their next push here. Getting ready, Primal Rage now available to Kel, who's going to jump right in. We see Deadeye being used by Goblin there, Freezing Tide taking out Plato. There goes the Primal Rage, getting stunned for a second there, and now pushing all of that damage onto that rig there. But it's going to be Asu and Guak who are taking out Freezing Tide using his own Primal Rage, able to take out Goblin. And now here comes Drenzy onto Nerdy Bird. Kel taken out shortly afterwards, and didn't work out for the Broncos at all.
No, and I mean, the lone bright spot is Guak's going to have that grab, so he'll kind of be able to grab defensively against San Jose State. But Boise State used the rally, didn't win the fight, and didn't even get the grab out. So now Wiki, as I said, is going to have a free grab, and now unfortunately Boise State's going to have to use their grab defensively against San Jose State. The only problem is Gon's Meteor Strike is going to be a huge problem for Boise State while that grabs out as a rally immediately comes out from Kerrigan. We have seen a lot of trigger-happy ultimates here recently.
There goes Meteor Strike being used by Gon as well as rally from Kerrigan. Broncos finding themselves trapped in this small building, having less than a minute left. That Brick very low on health, trying to be taken out by Guak. And Kel is eliminated by Freezing Tide, followed by Plato right now. They're just hanging on to that grab, probably waiting for their next and final push. The Spartans want to try to stretch them out. There goes Goblin, being able to get the pick onto Gon, and the Deadeye is going to buy Boise State enough time to push forward as a team one last time.
There's the grab that's going to come out. Wiki's got to use his own grab defensively, but he gets taken out before he can use it. They're going to have the Primal Rage for Freezing Tide. They had a Nano available as well from Elvin, and we just talked about how many trigger-happy ults we saw, but when it mattered most, San Jose State just forgot to hit Q. Only problem for Boise State is they're going to have to win one more fight into this grab, but they should have a rally up from Nerdy, so this should be a winnable fight here for Boise State. Or just kill him.
Well,
Why not?
They're able to get the pick onto Wiki. That is huge, as well as the Amp Matrix being thrown down. Goblin is taken out by Gon as Sticky Bomb and Nano Boost are both burned by San Jose State. But the rally is keeping the Broncos alive, and now they focus back onto the Spartans. But Plato is taken out. Shatter going on to Freezing Tide, turning it around. And with that Flame Strike onto Kerrigan, the Broncos find themselves back at the advantage. We do see that Graviton Surge is thrown back, catches Nerdy off guard though, and now Boise State Cal is keeping the Broncos' hopes alive with this Flame Strike taken out by Gon, and it could be a noble push from the Broncos. They're having such a hard time, and the Spartans are able to pull it out.
Yeah, unfortunately, the respawn timer just didn't agree with Boise State. I mean, they made all the right plays. They picked off Wiki when they needed it, but he was able to get alive in time. He got a solo grab onto Nerdy, but took care of that support, and that was kind of the difference maker, is Boise State just didn't have an answer for that grab, and I think it took Wiki about 45 seconds too long to use it, but in the end, he got it off, and that allowed his team to sort of turn the fight.
Yeah, let's bring up that matchup graphic again, just so we can remind the viewers what is at stake here. Boise State is going up against San Jose State University in this Mountain West Esports Series Championship. We are going to be going into round 4, which is going to be Assault. The Broncos are going to have choice of maps here, so they could choose, I mean, we've mostly seen Temple of Anubis.
Yeah, I mean, Temple would probably be the choice. I know in the Play Versus tournament that Boise State just played in, where Assault is picked second. When they did lose on map 1, they usually pick Temple of Anubis, so I would guess that's exactly where we're going. It's kind of the most popular of the 2 CPs, and it really shows its 2 CP-ness, if you will, in terms of you you can't really snowball into the second point unless you just absolutely wipe a team, because if you go 1 for 1 or you go 2 for 1, you end up being down men because of how close the respawn is. So it's a very, very interesting map overall, and that's what Boise State's going to pick.
And Boise State could bring back some memories from Nepal because they had great success on Junkrat in those close quarters for that map. And if there's one route that Junkrat loves to pick on, it's if the team, the attacking team, chooses to go left into those small rooms and tight corridors. We've seen teams try multiple times again and again to try to make it work, and it just doesn't work if the Junkrat is on defense.
Yeah, it's a very interesting strategy. I mean, we haven't seen it come out quite a bit because it does rely on you kind of having a Mei as well to, attacking-wise, sneak past the rest of the defenders who are just sitting there just lobbing any sort of projectile at you. So, and the other problem here for San Jose State is Temple of Anubis, that first point, is a Widowmaker's heaven because they can just rain down shots from so far in the back they're almost impossible to get to. It also allows Plato maybe be on that Ash and open up a double sniper for Boise State. So it's going to put a lot of pressure on San Jose State to probably be forced to bring out a Mei just to be able to have enough shields and enough walls to be able to slowly make their way over to the point without just getting headshot multiple times in a row.
Well, here we go into round 4, Boise State versus San Jose State in Temple of Anubis. Goblin going to be going on to that Junkrat. We also see Guak is going to be using that Orisa there. We do see Double Bubble coming out from the Spartans here.
The only thing I don't really like about this Boise State comp is, I mean, your only answer to grab is going to be Kel having to eat it, or yeah, that's about it. So, I mean, it's going to be, if this gets to be an extended fight and there's a chance where Boise State can maybe win on time and time out San Jose, that's where I'm worried that Wiki's going to land just a huge grab and there's not going to be an answer. So, I guess your other answer would be like a Rip Tire. The only good thing is you can probably tell from the silhouettes, Boise State is pretty far spread out, but that's the only thing that catches my eye is if they go long enough and Wiki gets a decent charge, there's no answer for Boise State on that grab, not even an Immortality field.
We're talking about decent charge. Goblin is already up to 60% as Dynamite comes out and is able to take out Kerrigan. Both supports gone for the Spartans. That's going to be their first push stopped right there in their tracks. And a reset coming out.
Yeah, it was a great first win there for Boise State. Just kind of mowing them down, and that's what I talked about with the Mei is, I mean, it's so hard if you don't pick up that Mei to be able to make it into those windows without taking a ton of damage. I mean, Elvin's already at 40% HP right now.
Well, in a way, they've kind of been able to counter the grab since they've really gotten San Jose to swap off of that Zarya now. So now Gon is taken out by that Riptire. Halt coming out onto Winston. They're down very low on health. Kel is going to be taken out of his mech, and Guak comes back onto the point, focuses down Elvin with the help of Junkrat there. Tracer's on the point, trying to get that first tick, but is not going to find it as the Broncos are able to reset. Still gets away with their life, though. That's just how hard it can be to take out that Tracer.
Yeah, I'm surprised that San Jose State opted to go for a D.Va to use the defense matrix to try and eat all those projectiles, as opposed to just picking a Mei who just has the Mei wall and sticking on that Zarya as your sort of long-term win condition. So Drenzy's going to have to get huge pulse bomb value here, as Gong's just not having the map he would have liked, or otherwise San Jose State's kind of playing themselves out of this early map.
Broncos are just going to settle down here. Bob now available for Plato. And Nerdy is having that Valkyrie as well, and Supercharger now coming online too. D.Va Bomb also being used, going to be used by Kel here shortly. Here comes Bob as well as Valkyrie. Nano Boost also being used by Elvin, and Kel is taken out by Gon. Plato answering that back though by taking out the Tracer and Gon, so both DPSs now no longer available for the Spartans. The Freezing Tide is using that Primal Rage. Goblin and Plato are now taken out. A res onto Goblin. Should get some damage back for the Broncos. Very low on health, that D.Va there, the Orisa trying, and now she's going to get healed back up by that Ana. So the Broncos still having a bit of trouble holding this first point.
Yeah, and now we're starting to see, you know, the snowball start to form here for San Jose State, because they're going to capture that point. That Meteor Strike you know, you would have liked to have held it, but Gong with an absolute pop-off there in the kill feed, picking up a triple. And now you're going to see there's the Nano up, there's a Pulse Bomb and a Diva Bomb. Boise State only has their own Diva Bomb, plus their swaps, and no one besides Goblin or Plato is above 50%. And now this is where San Jose State needs to get a couple of points right off this first fight.
Diva Bomb going on to two members of the Broncos. Goblin, in a little bit of revenge, is able to take out Renzi in his death there. Now Gon is going to take out Asu, though. And the Broncos having a hard time. They're going to have to rely on the respawn advantage. Now Guac is taking out Kel, and Nerdy still on the point, trying to prevent that first tick from going through. Now here comes Kel, very low on health and anti-nated as well. And Plato taken out by that Meteor Strike. San Jose getting the first tick. Now the second is going to be a tall order for the Broncos to push through as fast as the Spartans did.
Yeah, I mean, and San Jose State did the rare thing of getting all three ticks in one fight. Usually you take your first fight, you get a tick there, then maybe you get another fight a couple minutes later when you have the ult advantage, you get a tick there, and then with about a minute or so on the clock, then you get your third tick. So that was a great job by San Jose State. I mean, and they just showed off, I mean, 2CP to its finest. You capture 1 point after it took you, I think 2.5, 3 minutes, and then you just straight roll onto the second point with all of your ult. So yeah, it's going to be hard. Boise State's one advantage would be if they capture the first point early, then they'll have a little bit extra time to maybe lose a fight or two, but 3 minutes and 13 seconds is nothing to sneeze at. If you're San Jose State, you have to be incredibly happy with that result and feel pretty confident that you're going to get us to a Game 5.
Well, the Broncos, you know, really just have to push through with their first attempt here. That's really the only way that I can see them really getting to overtime with a good amount of hope. We do see both teams are going to bring out Winston, and now both Winston and Diva are both used. Goblin is going to be using that Widowmaker, though, so definitely seen how good he can do. He's gonna also have have Nerdy pocketing Plato probably on this Echo.
Yeah, kind of can flop between Plato and Goblin there, depending on who has better line of sight. I mean, probably will be predominantly stuck on the hip of Plato, but I mean, if Goblin gets a good sight line right up where we saw Freezing Tide jump, I mean, he can absolutely pop off. So it'll be very, very hard for San Jose State to continue line of sighting away from these two very, very heavy DPS for Boise State.
And we see Plato on this upper level here. He's going to get bullied off by that Winston. Still trying to push damage onto that shield he threw down. Now the Broncos continue to try to push forward here. Goblin still yet to get a pick there, but the Diva going very low on health. Now Goblin and Gon are taken out. The res coming out onto Goblin. Broncos back up to full strength, focusing down to Winston. Kerrigan taken out by Goblin. This is exactly what the Broncos needed to keep their hopes alive. On to the first point in one try. Now can they get to the second with the same speed?
You know, first they got to make sure they capture this point. I'll be curious if San Jose State opts for a recontest or just wants to hand it over, because Boise State's going to have quite a lot of time in the bank, and I mean, you just see the ult discrepancy. Besides Elvin at 90%, I mean, Freezing Tide and Drenzy are close. Nobody for San Jose State is really going to have an ult. Meanwhile, Boise State realistically could have 6 ults going into this next fight, and they have plenty of time. They just need to make sure in this first fight alone they guarantee at least 1, if not 2 ticks if they want a chance to match San Jose State's 3 minutes and 13 seconds.
Nerdy Bird having Valkyrie just coming online, as well as Copy and Goblin. That's a huge pick from Wiki. Going to be stopping the Broncos' momentum right in their tracks, followed by Plato. And that momentum, that snowball has been stopped right in its tracks. Now we do see Nano Boost coming onto Guac, who's going to try to turn this around and might just do it. Able to take out three members of San Jose State were down there. Now they respawn. And all that's really going to buy Boise State is time for a reset.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the Nano being used is a little unfortunate for Boise State because they're not going to have the Nano into the Primal Rage, and San Jose State will have that, but Boise State's going to have 4 ults versus 5 ults here in this next fight, so it's going to be hard for them to snowball, but the duplicate for Plato could go a long way as the Diva Bomb's going to go off as well.
and focus down Gone entirely. The solo ult on him, preventing his Deadeye from being used. And now Guac pushing a lot of damage onto Kerrigan as well. Primal Rage was charged up for Plato's copy. We do see Diva Bomb being thrown out by Wiki, not going to pick up anybody. And before the remake can come through as well, Boise State has already picked up 2 ticks right now. Now here comes the respawn from San Jose. It's already so hard to take this second point. The 2 ticks is certainly nothing to sneeze at in a normal situation. But when San Jose State has 3 minutes on overtime, the Broncos are going to have to take it with this next push.
Yeah, Boise State's going to get one more push here to try and match San Jose State's time, but you have to like their chances. I mean, they're going to have the Nano, they're going to have Primal Rage, they should have Pulse Bomb up as well. San Jose State's not going to have an answer besides maybe their own Pulse Bomb here. So I like Boise State's chances. I don't know if they'll get to 313 just by the time it's going to take to get all those eliminations, slowly capture the point. But I mean, if Boise State plays this fight right, they definitely can be sitting at 230 plus, and we head into overtime.
Now the Echo trying to focus down the Tracer right here. See Primal Rage available for Guac, but is going to be using the Tesla Cannon to push more damage onto the Spartans. There goes the Primal Rage onto this Tracer, who's just trying to flash here and there to get away. Isn't going to be able to do it. And now the Broncos very close to driving this to overtime again, and they are going to do it. And now some time comes off from both teams, basically making it even again for overtime.
Yeah, Boise State's going to get 1 extra second in overtime. And
so advantage Broncos.
Yeah, I mean, barely, but we'll see if that 1 second matters. And I will say, I mean, this is interesting because it took San Jose State over 2 minutes to capture that first point. Well, for Boise State, it did not take them that long. So this favors Boise State right now just because even with the even time, San Jose State did not win point A as cleanly as Boise State did. So the Spartans have got to figure something out here if they want to make sure that they can get us maybe to a map 5.
Just a little look at some of the background there as Boise State is going to be mounting another defense, going to be pulling out Ash on Plato, kind of going for the same strategy of just getting that vantage point there. We do see Gone on the Widowmaker, so it's probably going to be fighting with Goblin up in mid-air, trying to get control of that high ground.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very interesting sniper battle between Plato and Gong, and I think Plato has a slight advantage as he should have the Mercy pocket depending on what Goblin does. So a lot of pressure on Gong. I mean, we talk about it all the time. His target has to be Nerdy Bird, because if he gets the pick onto the Mercy, that denies the res. Otherwise, yeah, a sniper shot onto Goblin might be great, but as long as he dies in a safe spot, you just get the Mercy res, and it doesn't really feel like you had much of an impact. So Gong's got to find a shot onto Nerdy Bird. If he gets that headshot, I like San Jose State's chances because they don't have that res, and that shut down the boot pocket as well for Boise State.
That Winston trying right off of the bat to try to get up and knock Boise State off of their high ground. Isn't going to be able to do it. Tries again, though. Dynamite thrown out by Plato. He's going to get flanked here by Every on this Tracer. Trying to push, maybe get Nerdy or Asu there. Still no elimination. He's now flashing around yet again. Dynamite going again onto the Spartans. Boise State has shaved off about half of their time already.
Yeah, San Jose State really hasn't had much of a push right now. You see Gong, he's hiding out though. Trying to find that one big shot that can turn the fight, and that's a huge pick right there because now Boise State does not have a res. They'll trade it out for Kerrigan though. So Boise State has to just play carefully, and they're going to be able to do just that. Nano does come out onto Freezing Tide, and now they're going to lose Goblin, and now Boise State's got to be careful as Nerdy's running back in, trying to get that res off to keep Boise State at full strength.
There goes Amp Matrix down, and that great Dynamite onto Wiki is going to stop the Spartans from getting even one tick due to that push. Now the Broncos can, well, I was going to say get back up to full strength, but Kel was picked off there by Freezing Tide.
Depending on where he died, Nerdy could have had an opportunity for the res. I can't quite see it. It might be in a very unsafe location as the Brown Rage is going to come out there, and with all of these ults available, looks like with 20 seconds left, San Jose State should be able to force Boise State to retreat.
Well, here comes Diva Bomb, not going to pick up anybody from Goblin. We see Supercharger available to Guac, and they're going to pick up the first point with no time left. They're going to get a short amount of time from this capture, though. They're going to get 30 seconds, so basically one more team fight to try to capture anything from the second point.
Yeah, I mean, and it's going to be interesting for San Jose State. They have that sound barrier from Kerrigan. They are close to a nano. Boise State only has that supercharger, but that could parlay into things like a Diva Bomb, and if depending on how long the fight goes and how much value that supercharger gets, maybe getting Plato close to that Bob. As here comes the aggro sound barrier, and San Jose State just wants to win this fight straight up.
Gonna try to do it right off the bat, but a great kick there onto Elvin. Takes a lot of their healing away. Now Freezing Tide is also gonna be taken out. The Diva Mech going very low in health is now going to be D-Mech, taken out shortly afterwards by Kellen Plato, doing great job there on Dagon and Drenzy, stopping them from getting even one tick.
Still going to be hard for Boise State. I mean, San Jose State knows exactly what they have to do. They just have to play really stellar defense for 2 minutes. So I would be curious to see what Gong wants to do. I don't think that Widowmaker got a ton of value, and you know Goblin or Plato, some combination is probably going to opt for either the Ash or the Widowmaker. Seems like Boise State's also liking the Echo on this map as well, but that duplicate can absolutely turn fights. So I'll be curious defensively how San Jose State comes out and tries to defend this Boise State push, because last time they got just straight rolled over. And I think that's going to be what they're trying to prevent, because if they get Boise State maybe a minute and a half as opposed to 30 seconds, that could go a long way into allowing Boise State to definitely pick this map up and prevent a Game 5.
Well, they're going to be going on to a more divey composition for their push here. Snurdy is still going to be looking to pocket Plato in the sky. San Jose also going to be using that same kind of divey composition.
I like this spot there for Freezing Tide and Drenzy to maybe pick off Boise State. Gonna be kind of hard though, as Plato should get the peek around the corner and catch them out. And San Jose State really hasn't changed much of their comp in this map. They've kind of stuck with what's got them there, and I'll be curious how they defend against Boise State. I mean, there's a slight change over to that Tracer, and we know how talented Goblin is on that, so he's going to be a pester on that back line. And Elvin's got to be careful, because if he can't build that nano up, that could be a snowball opportunity for Boise State.
Now here come the Broncos with their first push. Plato already up to 20% charge on that copy. You do see focusing down Freezing Tide, and that is a great elimination there. The Broncos already fighting for their first tick. They have 2 on the point. Now the rest of the Spartans try to get them off, but it's not going to work, as both supports taken out by the Broncos. They're going to get their first push with a lot of time left. They're going to pick up just a little bit more from capturing this first point. A little bit of a stall coming out there, but now the Spartans say we're going to let the Broncos get this first point. Now they just got to get 1 tick on this second.
Yeah, and I mean, you see the ult advantage Boise State is building. I mean, there's no shame in trying to take a longer fight here and sort of just mashing it. Look, could be 4 ultimates in a row here, with Boise State already having 2 available, and we'll see what they want to do with the duplicate up, and Drenzy gets taken out.
And there goes the copy onto Winston right there, and Guac taking out Drenzy, hit with the sleep dart, but then just pops the primal rage to heal back up. Focusing on this, McCree is able to take him out, and there goes Boise State finding their win against the Spartans.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great response there from San Jose State to get him to a Game 4, and I think that definitely shows why they are a team that could challenge for that 4th playoff spot, maybe even that 3rd spot. Like I said, it feels like San Jose State, Colorado State, and Fresno State, any of those teams that is able to pull off 1 victory over either Boise State and UNLV is going to find themselves in 3rd place, or otherwise they'll come down to kind of head-to-head. So San Jose State, definitely a team you're going to want to watch out for. They might sneak in that number 4 seed, and they gave Boise State a lot of trouble here tonight, but the Broncos able to figure it out on Temple of Anubis. They did take them to overtime, but they still got the job done.
Well, that's going to do it for the second match of the night. And we also see just a message from San Jose State, but also we have ICCU Player of the Game. I am informed here. And do you have any predictions for who it might be?
I mean, I think you got to give it to Goblin. I think without his hero play on Kings Road, this could be an entirely different series. Absolutely phenomenal on this Widowmaker. San Jose State did just not have an answer for it. They just kept, kind of just getting headshot after headshot. And I think that him being out of that grab and being able to pick up 3-4 eliminations on Kings Row, absolutely phenomenal. So I would have to say, Goblin has to be the player of the game in my book.
Yeah, that would be... It could really be Plato or Goblin. overall since they are such fantastic DPSs, but it's actually going to be Nerdy who had a bit of fun on the off tank and was also just great overall just in the support role.
Yeah, had a huge Diva bomb that I'm sure we'll see that kind of turned a fight for Boise State where it looked a little bit iffy off a grab. Ironically enough, San Jose State, I think this is the most I've ever seen a team lose when they felt they had a grab in a good situation. The Diva play was pretty strong, and I think also the Lucio play, holding onto the sound barrier, trying to sync it up with the grab was also pretty impressive as well.
Yeah, we didn't really see any moments where there was kind of ult mismanagement there from Nerdy. You see right here, there is an opportunity there on the Diva mech trying to get that remech, which again is quite a buff that we have seen.
Yeah, we didn't see any eliminations from it tonight, so, I mean, maybe players are getting a little smarter, but yeah, it is absolutely wild. I mean, not even in the way Blizzard intended. Blizzard's whole intent was, well, we don't want Divas to get staggered as easily, so maybe this will be more punishing for teams that try and go for that really, really, really long stagger. But it's just been more, oh, I launched a Diva bomb in, I'm remeching, and someone just gets caught out. We didn't, but, you know, both teams did a great job handling that tonight, and overall, some fantastic play for Boise State.
Well, player of the game brought to you by Idaho Central Credit Union, who believes a great player makes a team more successful, just like Idaho Central's helping members achieve financial success. Nerdy Bird is the Idaho Central Credit Union player of the game, and now we close out this second match by bringing you the top 5 plays of the game, brought to you by the Idaho Army National Guard, who invites you to take your critical thinking skills into real time, with more than 10 positions offering a $20,000 bonus and your degree of choice paid for. Idaho Army National Guard is one of the best teams to join. Reach out to them at iGuard Gaming. Enjoy the top 5 plays of the game, and we'll be back with another Overwatch match after this.
And that was kind of the difference.
Start healing back up again as Amp Matrix thrown down by San Jose, pushing a lot of damage onto Boise, as well as the Hulk coming out, trying to drag them into that Dragon Strike. Not going to work out as Gone is able to take out Diva, though, and get rid of her in fast order, as the Broncos are just finding a
1-for-1. Sound barrier is going to come out for both Kerrigan and Nerdy at the same time. Grab as soon as the sound barrier falls off from San Jose State. They're going to try and throw down a Hail Mary Immortality Field. They get a huge shatter right as they take down the lamp. And that should allow Boise State to cap this one.
With more time left than the Spartans, they back, and that Maywall is going to peel off the Reinhardt, and Shatter going on to San Jose. But is the follow-up going to come through? Kel is able to take out Drenzy, and a large Bagel taking out Freezing Tide as well. San Jose was able to get one onto Goblin, but it's the Broncos with the advantage as Amp Matrix is thrown down onto the payload. Guac taking out. Now the Broncos going to drop down from the upper level here on Guac's signal on that Wrecking Ball. Kel does have Whole Hog available, and Sticky Bomb going out, and the Whole Hog getting a double as well. A triple now onto San Jose State. Gonna find the team kill and stop them right in their tracks.
Yeah, they just walked into that hole.
It's just gonna be negated by it. All the members of the Trojans are going to push around the point here. Shatter is going to find a lot of them, and those turrets do the rest of the work, but the sound barrier is used to counter it as well.
It says Gen Z is struggling. I've got news for them.
I wait tables, but last week I built a field hospital.
I put out a forest fire.
I stopped 1,000 attackers.
And a natural disaster.
I've saved lives.
And led a team on patrol.
I serve.
Well, I go to school full time.
While I work full time.
The greater the challenge, the stronger we become.
Welcome back to tonight's broadcast of the Mountain West Overwatch season. Tonight is rivalry night as we compare Boise State with UNLV. With 2 matches for each of them, we've done 1 match for UNLV, 1 match for the Broncos, and now we head back over to UNLV is going to be taking on Colorado State, I believe, in this match, which is one of the matches that you were most interested in seeing, Fish.
Yeah, I mean, when we do take a look at the Mountain West standings, it is going to be some of the top teams in the Mountain West, with UNLV sitting right now at 5-0. Colorado State came in at 3-1, but it looks like actually we're gonna change gears here a little bit. We'll actually have Fresno State and San Jose State.
Yeah, and that's going to be interesting to see, as we just saw San Jose State University taking on Boise State. Wasn't able to pull out the victory there, but a little bit of a bonus match for us coming up here in the standings. And let's take a look in those overall standings. We see San Jose State and Fresno State both stuck in the middle, fighting very hard for that 4th position, which is all important because top 4 teams go on to the finals. As you can see right there, it's best of 5, 9 rounds in round robin, which started with 10 teams. This is the 4th year in a row for the Mountain West Overwatch season. And as these 2 teams get ready to take on each other, what do you think we'll see from Fresno State as the team that we haven't seen necessarily anything of tonight?
I mean, it's going to be really interesting because I think these are, like I said, them and Colorado State are kind of those 3 teams that are lumped together that are going to try and battle it out for the final 2 spots. I mean, Fresno State came out very close to beating Boise State last week. I think they took them all the way to Game 5. And so San Jose State only got Boise State to Game 4, so I think it's going to be very interesting. I mean, if these teams play like we expect, I think Fresno State will come out on top, and the head-to-head wins are going to matter because both these teams have missed an opportunity to beat Boise State. Maybe they can engineer an upset over UNLV, but it's going to come down to those head-to-head. So I expect Fresno State in what could be a very long series, a potential 5-game series, to come out on top just because it feels like they played Boise State a little bit closer, and that's the only measuring stick we have right now between these 2 teams.
Well, the map that we have seen brought out for the first is going to be Nepal, if I am to guess, since it usually is pre-decided, and indeed it is. Here we go. You still see the same lineup being brought out from San Jose State, which Gone was, I'm going to be looking out for him on this McCree because he was able to get some great picks with the Hanzo, and it's going to be close quarters fighting again, as Bully Hunter is able to take out Freezing Tide, followed by just all of the members of the Spartans following one after the other. Fresno State taking the point with speed.
Yeah, it was a great start for Fresno State. I mean, I know Shiguru is a very, very talented McCree player in his own right, so that battle between him and Gong is going to be a lot of fun to watch. And Sushi Lover has some great May play as well. When they played Boise State, and he's looking for a wall maul right here. He just got to get the wall at the right angle. He's waiting to build it. He wants to catch somebody off guard. He's just not able to, unfortunately. And they've got an Amp Matrix they can just throw down instead.
Yeah, and they might just choose to go through the left doorway instead, which they indeed do. Now here comes the Amp Matrix, going to be thrown down, and we see a little bit of a split up between both tanks. Sushi Lover is able to take out Freezing Tide right after Gon took out Silver, so both teams still at a 5v5. We saw Bully Hunter taken out there before that Shatter could be used. Now Fresno State with a double there is going to be facing a triple, actually a double from Drenzy. It looked like a triple because of the Immortality field. But San Jose State University, despite all of those eliminations, might be able to take the point actually.
Yeah, they just got to find a way to get on to Sliver. Unfortunately, they got totally caught off guard by a Shatter from behind. Sound Barrier is going to be forced out there from Kerrigan. His Bully Hunter will be taken out. Fresno State has their own Sound Barrier, but Sliver gets stuck before he can slam the ground down. Solo grab does come out from MGCL. They get the freeze onto Freezing Tide as well, as they're going to throw down the Blizzard, and a ton of ults committed there by Fresno State, but I think the biggest one was the ult that they didn't commit, and that was that Sound Barrier.
The Spartans having a whole bunch of ultimates available as Shatter comes out there. We see Immortality Field thrown down and a bit some boops off the side with some environmentals. Kerrigan is able to take out Sugar, and basically all of the Spartans just basically thrown off the side there by that Lucio. Now Fresno State's going to try to take down Kerrigan there, and they're able to do it and take back the point.
I don't know if sacrificing yourself as the main tank for a Mei was the right idea, because I think Freezing Tide actually charged off the edge with Sushi Lover. I don't think that's ever a great idea to lose your main tank for a Mei, unless it's the last person alive, and now it's going to be very hard to push in to this Ant Matrix that Robin's going to throw right down.
Ant Matrix is thrown down. A lot of damage going on to San Jose, but they're just going to keep going around the long way here. Dragon Strike thrown out by Drenzy. MGCL taken out, Kerrigan, followed by Elvin, now gone, taken out by Sugar, followed by Silver, getting the boop onto Freezing. That's going to allow Fresno State to keep control of the point and take it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the turner in that was really the weird, you know, charge off the edge for a Mei. I don't know if Freezing Tide thought he was going to hit someone. I don't know if he thought, hey, you know, I'll just trade 1 for 1. But unfortunately, there are very few realities where a Mei is worth the life of a Reinhardt, and we are not living in one of those realities.
Well, now we move on to the second map here. I believe this is the first time we are seeing the village map, as we have mainly seen Sanctum and Shrine.
Yeah, this is a very tough map, because there are once you lose the first fight, there's only so many ways you can go, and we've seen teams really get stuck going the same way over and over and over again. So it's going to be very interesting. It looks like we're going to get straight mirror across the board from both these teams, so it's going to come down to individual play. And right now, that 3-man flashbang from Suguru, I remember when he played Boise State, he was like a mini Reinhardt, landing stun after stun, and so San Jose State's got to watch out for that, and they immediately lose a Rhine, but Fresno's going to lose theirs as well.
Well, Drenzy keeping the Spartans' hopes alive by getting a double there, basically trading elimination for elimination. Fresno State are the first ones on the point, though, on their way to capturing it. And now here come the Spartans, not even at full strength right now, are going to be pushing on, and that Maywall is just going to try to split off some of the members of Fresno State, and they take the point shortly after.
Yeah, it was a great Maywall there. Deadeye from Suguru is going to come out. Maywall from the side of San Jose State will cancel it out, as we're just recreating the terrain at this point. Is Bully Hunter and Robin going to combine for a pair, as Drenzy now gets taken out as well. And just a great response from Fresno State. And it seems like anytime they get punched in the mouth, they immediately stand right back up and shove San Jose State to the ground.
Now they're going to have a whole bunch of ultimates coming online as well. And we see that Graviton Surge coming online way before that Lucio beat is going to be able to defend from it. So we'll see if Fresno State uses that for this next fight. Here come the Spartans through the narrow doorway. Maywall's going to try to split them off as the Blizzard and Graviton Surge is thrown up. We saw that Maywall used defensively as well as the Immortality Field. Kerrigan taken out before that Lucio beat can be used, and that's going to be a team wipe for Fresno State.
Yeah, and I think even worse than that, as you saw at the very end, Wiki tried to throw out a grab in a last-ditch effort, and Sliver was so confident he didn't even use his own sound barrier. So not only did you lose a grab, you didn't even get the sound barrier out of the way. That's great trigger discipline by Sliver. We've seen Lucios who just hear a voice line, they immediately, all right, we're sound barring, and then the ult ends up whiffing. So that's a huge play for Fresno State.
There go 2 Maywalls up there on the point, and we see Deadeye being taken out, able to get rid of Silver. Sushi Lover taking out Elvin, and Fresno State able to get the slight advantage in that fight with a double there from MG and Suguru. Now they just need to heal back up, since a lot of their members are at very low health. San Jose State manages to take the point back. Suguru uses that Deadeye. It's not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Fresno State, their sound barriers have been good. The biggest problem is Sliver just hasn't been able to get them off. That's now twice now he's had one canceled. And so that's going to be something you want to watch out for, because losing that sound barrier is the reason why, instead of winning the map and winning and going up 1-0, that San Jose State gets a chance to defend.
Well, one successful push back onto the point will allow Fresno State to take this first round. See, they're having a bit of trouble pushing past the choke, and they're actually going to get peeled off there. That Reinhardt found himself all alone on the other end of that May wall there. Now Fresno State, they just have to go for the reset here. They're still waiting. They're trying to poke their heads out of that door, pick up some damage here and there.
Yeah, both teams have grab up. Neither are going to have sound barriers, so you can kind of use your grab defensively. I do think that San Jose State has the advantage because they are on the high ground. That Maywall, though, immediately cuts them off, and now without freezing tide, we'll get double grabs right on top of each other.
And there goes Seguru using, actually he's just going to pick off one after another on the point there. Sushi Lover picks up one with the Blizzard as well. Deadeye being used at the last moment there. Doesn't prevent anyone from getting on the point, and Fresno State picks up the win.
Yeah, great statement there from Fresno State to kind of handle business there against San Jose State. Couple of concerning things, but nothing that's not correctable between maps.
Well, Idaho Codes is a sponsored summer computer science program open to all 7th through 12th grade students in every Idaho school district, teaching coding and programming courses. Students who complete Idaho Codes have various credit opportunities and can network with those in the industry. Please encourage students in every district to register at idahocodes.org. The program is free for the first 1,000 subscribers registered, and there are options to participate either on campus or online. They are also looking for local college students with a background in coding as mentors for Idaho Codes. Pays $2,000, and you can find out more at ctsutah.org/apps/college-mentor.
I mean, I think the one thing that I really want to watch out for is these Zarya plays were absolutely fantastic. I've not seen that many grabs generated that quickly. I think we had 4 total grabs in that map, which usually doesn't happen on control. I think the other thing is going to be just, can Sliver just make sure he's sound barriering in a safe spot, because he's sound barriered properly, or at least attempted to sound barrier properly, multiple times. The problem is he's just died before he hits the ground. It's not as simple as press Q and then you can just walk away from your keyboard. You do have to make sure the animation completes. So San Jose State's done a really good job getting 2 huge picks onto him, but if Sliver's able to figure out maybe how to land those sound barriers and make sure they get off, he's been doing it at the right time for his team to win. So I definitely think that Fresno State has a small advantage going on to map number 2.
And speed of map number 2, a bit of a more unusual choice, or not seen as many times. Blizzard World chosen as the second.
Yeah, interesting with San Jose State. They just lost to Kings Row against Boise State, picking Kings Row, so maybe they wanted to try something different. I mean, maybe, you have a strategy up your sleeve that you think might be able to fool Fresno State, because it's not a map you see very often. So it really comes down to how often do these teams practice not Kings Row. I know it's in Boise State's repertoire to make sure they stay fresh on some of these maps, but these other teams, they might just be caught off guard as Fresno State flashing right now what would be a very, very interesting composition.
San Jose State is going to be using Symmetra on Gone. We also see a swap over there from Sushi Lover onto the May. So we see Ryan Zarya is going to be what is used on defense here, but Diva being used instead for Fresno State.
Yeah, my bigger concern for Fresno State is the Genji without an Ana. I mean, we've seen time and time again the difference that a Nano makes on the Dragon Blade. We've seen, I mean, even UNLV get, quad kills with a Nano and struggle for 1 kill without a Nano. So it's going to be very tough for Shiguru to play this one. I also think his McCree is just so dang good that taking him off McCree is kind of weird if you're Fresno State, but we'll see how he responds.
Now Fresno State trying to push onto the point here. Seguru is the first one taken out by Elvin. And there goes Drenzy with a pick onto Bully Hunter as well. Fresno State running into a bit of trouble here. Trying to defend here. The San Jose State pushes onto the point, able to take at least 1 tick, now 2, and are going to take the first point entirely.
Yeah, there's not going to be a recontest here for Fresno State, especially with that pick onto Sliver being last. He means he can't taxi the rest of the team there. And Shiguru is now going to take over on that McCree, and you just got to wonder what the Genji was about there. Maybe a little bit too much confidence, because without an Ana and just dying first, that Genji kind of threw that fight for Fresno State. Now Sliver gets picked first with a huge ante onto both DPS for Fresno State, and things aren't going well in this second fight either.
And they're having a really hard trouble trying to do any sort of defense here. We see Immortality Field trying to keep them alive as Maywall is going to go up, try to peel them away. Strenzy very low on health there, is going to be taken out by the Diva. But Freezing Tide doing great work on the Reinhardt, getting a double, and San Jose State not really having to spend any sort of ultimate thus far to win these team fights.
No, and I mean, you see there, Wiki already has that grab up. Sliver's only at 76% due to that early death, so this is going to be a very tough fight for Fresno State to win. They're going to try an Ant Matrix to get a pick, and that's a huge one onto Wiki, and that totally changes the dynamic of this fight for Fresno State.
Yeah, they have their opportunity now to defend there. Graviton Surge not going to be able to be used in this team fight here. Now here comes Saguru with the pick onto Elvin, taking out the Amp Matrix. Now Dragon Strike no longer going to be a factor for this fight, as well as Silver gets Drenzy there. Fresno State getting even more time to build up their ultimates with Shatter and Deadeye coming online here.
Yeah, and I'll be curious the trigger discipline that San Jose State shows, because they have 5 ults, they might have 6. I mean, Fresno State's going to be in the same spot, so if one team presses a lot of ults, I expect the other team to answer in kind, and we'll start off with the Diva Bomb, and the line of sight will come out, but it's not enough as the Immortality Field gets taken down, and that allows Fresno State to just jump right on top of them. There's a Deadeye, a Blizzard, and a Sound Barrier, and they catch San Jose State just totally off guard. They commit the Shatter, nothing else, and now it's Fresno State's turn to try and absorb multiple ultimates.
Yeah, that was a great hold there, but unfortunately for them, they used basically almost everything they had. So the Spartans gonna have basically everything, like you said. They only used Shatter.
Yeah, the aggro Sound Barrier is questionable. We talk about it all the time. You got to make sure you have an answer for grab, and relying on Immortality Field is not always the best option, but it definitely is one. As an Ant Matrix thrown down on the high ground, unfortunately, easy line of sight opportunity here for San Jose State.
Both Ant Matrix are thrown down for both teams there. We're gonna have to see when the Graviton Surge comes out. Going to be able to combo with the Dragon Strike, and the combo comes through, but it doesn't land, unfortunately, for them. And that's a huge opportunity for San Jose State. Gone. Fresno State using their Shatter. Drenzy takes out Saguru there. Bully Hunter also taken out by Drenzy. Sushi Lover gets a pick onto Freezing Tide, but gone answering that back by taking out Robin. But the other tank able to take out Elvin too. And what is still a team fight win for Fresno State, or excuse me, San Jose State University, a lot sloppier than they would have hoped for.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great read by MGCL to predict that Grab would also come in with the Dragon Strike. Unfortunately, by eating that Dragon Strike, the rest of the team didn't have that defense matrix, and we talked about they didn't have the Sound Barrier online either, and so it was kind of one of those, yeah, it worked, but also you have to wonder if it would have worked better if he would have just sat there and just held defense matrices. There's a Grab, another one coming out, and this one, unfortunately, not going to be as successful for San Jose State.
Opportunity for a stagger there, and is going to be found by Kerrigan there. And now with 90 seconds left, Fresno State is just going to be hoping to push that payload back as much as they can, despite the slow backward speed.
Yeah, and ever since that first fight, it feels like San Jose State's had ult advantage in every single one, as they're going to have 4-2, depending on if Sliver can stay alive in this fight and get that Sound Barrier off. So it's going to be very difficult for Fresno State to hold on here, but if they can win a fight through a ton of ultimates, San Jose State's not going to have a recontest in a very, very comfortable fashion.
We'll have to see if that defense matrix eats some ultimates like it did last time. You see the bomb is available, really the only thing online, but coming up very soon is going to be Sound Barrier. Diva Bomb is able to pick up Gone though, and now Saguru takes out Kerrigan as well. And with the Amp Matrix thrown down by Elvin, Wiki is able to take out Bully Hunter, but it is not going the way that the Spartans were hoped for as the Diva focuses down this Rhine here. Shatters right after he gets caught out by the Maywall. It's not going to be enough though. Sushi Level with a punch to the face ends that one. And that is something. Two engagements with as many ultimates as they had in 2 failed attempts.
Now, I think San Jose State is trying to hold on for a last-ditch effort, grab dragons, but Wiki's now going to swap off, so that meant that holding that dragon kind of is going to backfire on them, and now they're going to need either a huge Deadeye or a huge Dragon Strike from Drenzy to be able to win this, as Fresno State now has that clear ult advantage.
And Bully Hunter here has the minefield.
And they forgot about the point. Okay.
Okay.
These guys have been playing Overwatch for so long that, you know, sometimes maybe the basics are the hardest part to remember, because, you know, you heard the Dragon Strike go out, you just didn't have anyone on the point. So, I mean, it happened to San Jose State in Kings Row, where they just totally forgot and allowed Boise State to have maybe one of the easiest overtime victories we've ever seen. So, sometimes, I mean, you have so much on your mind of, okay, how can I ult? Who do I need to get a pick on? You just forget about, you know, the simplest part of Overwatch, which is, you know, you have to be on the objective to keep the timer going.
I can just imagine San Jose State University's. I can just imagine their next meeting after this week. Okay, the first thing, get on the point.
Yeah, we will. I mean, there's some definitely easy VOD review targets for the Spartans in this coming week after what we've seen tonight from them. But this is still a very talented team, and I don't think Fresno State is doing themselves any favors if they were to just assume that, they C9, we'll just kind of roll right over them. Because, I mean, they almost second cap Fresno State if it wasn't for, you know, just an unfortunate shatter there.
Thank you, camera person there. Highlighting the menu there. I haven't had dinner yet, so they just had to showcase all of those lovely foodstuffs.
Always down for a trip through the Fargo Deep Mine. Not a place you want to be very often, but there are a lot of candles in there from what I've been told.
Well, now Fresno State is going to have their opportunity. All they need to do is take basically the second point, or yeah, what was basically the second point, because Spartans got so close that last time. So here they come. Are they going to be able to do it first hand? Maywall came up there, hit with the sleep dart, and Seguru taking out Elvin, followed by Silver with a punch to Kerrigan. Seguru doing and Silver both kind of the MVPs for that team fight, getting a double apiece and taking the first point without really any resistance at all.
No, I think San Jose State unfortunately spent too many resources trying to make that pick onto Bully Hunter worth it. But I mean, it is, you know, 90% of the time, statistically, you're more likely to win fights when the enemy team's down their main tank. But when you commit that many resources and you kind of get caught trying to peek your own wall there to take out that Reinhardt, bad things can happen. But I mean, Fresno State's still got to win multiple fights, but that time bank difference of 530 is going to make it quite easy here for them to be able to push this payload over multiple fights.
Wiki and Gone both going down to half health there, are able to heal back up. So they're going to take this fight on the second level here. At least Fresno State has one person on the point to push forward. Robin has the amp matrix just coming online, is going to be thrown down. The Sushi Lover taking out Drenzy, answered back by Gone, but still the advantage being held by Sushi Lover, getting a double, but Elvin evening it up by taking out Bully Hunter. We see Graviton Surge being brought out there. No real follow-up to it, though. And there goes the Maywall up, allowing Fresno State to just regroup a little bit.
It feels like we've seen a lot of Zarya's tonight who are like, I'm at 80+ charge. I'm basically a DPS. I'll solo grab and wipe the team. And it's like, no, you won't. You can try. And we've seen it happen a couple times, but not very often. And good news here for Fresno State. They're going to have a sound barrier. Okay. That was not what you wanted.
No, they're just going to push right past that amp matrix, use their Deadeye and Blizzard there, and there they go.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the aggro sound barrier worked out. I mean, they ended up having Wiki grab right into the sound barrier. It was only about 50% effectiveness. So, I mean, I guess I'll eat my tongue on that one. But that was kind of a strange, you know, almost as if Sliver was like, all right, let's make sure we capture this point, guys. I'm just going to sound barrier, and you have nothing. You have no choice but to push forward. So, a very high risk, high reward play for Fresno State, but it pays off and it puts themselves on match point.
Yeah, I don't really know what San Jose State chooses here. As things have just really kind of collapsed for them. It's going to be a full escort map here.
I mean, probably Rialto. I mean, it's the map they beat Boise State on, and if it's a map, well, never mind. It'll be Watch Point Gibraltar. I was going to say, if you can beat Boise State on a map, I don't know why you wouldn't go back to it, but they'll end up with Watch Point Gibraltar, which maybe that is their stronger map, but Boise State has in fantastic record, really, on Watch Point Gibraltar, so I can understand why San Jose State opted to go elsewhere. But, I mean, again, if they beat Boise State on Rialto and now they're picking Watch Point Gibraltar, this tells me this is their better map, and they just didn't want to play it against Boise State. So I like this pick for San Jose State if that's the logic they're following.
Yeah, Boise State able to have a lot of holds before the first point here. But Fresno State would be looking to close out the map in similar fast fashion, so maybe that's what they do here. We don't really know Fresno State's strength on Gibraltar quite yet. We do see Bastion is going to be brought out there by Gong, though.
Yeah, that is an interesting choice by Gong. I mean, you see, he really doesn't have, as I say, you didn't have Arissa, you didn't have Sigma, you really didn't have even a Reinhardt. So that is, it was kind of an interesting one, but you know, he will eventually swap over to that Hanzo, and we will kick this map off, and we'll see what kind of strategy Fresno State has. Looks like they're opting just to hold in that normal location right up on that high ground.
Yeah, not really going for that low ground that Boise State usually does, or at least trying to crowd everyone in there. And then they're not even going to go kind of for the close hold at the very beginning there.
I mean, you see you have Sushi Lover and Gong having a little bit of a battle. Sushi Lover, I don't think, knows he's been scouted out, and unfortunately, MGCL is going to be taken out there. Sliver was just a sliver away from saving him. And that payload is just pushing kind of right underneath the nose of Fresno State. I don't know if the Bulldogs have recognized it. Finally, they turn around, and this could be the easiest .1 I've ever seen. Finally, Fresno State starts to get tested. They get Freezing Tide to about 20%. Drenzy will finally be taken out by Sushi Lover, who realized that his game of cat and mouse with Gong wasn't going very well. And now Fresno State fighting over this payload has started to slow down San Jose State, but they haven't gotten many other picks, and there's an Ant Matrix up for Elvin. If he can find an opportunity, they do have to be careful. The Tac Visor for Shiguru could absolutely put them in a very bad spot. He gets a great pick onto Gong. They're hiding out behind all these computer parts, and finally they get picked off. But my goodness, did Fresno State just almost fall asleep at the wheel?
I can't believe they were able to hold them there. They were basically just looking in the complete opposite direction and turned around at the last moment to actually face the fight. Well, now the Segura taking a bit of damage there, but look at all of these ultimates across the board here. There's going to be a lot of Q pressing for this next round.
And I think MGCL, if he gets the grab off, it could be the winner here. Here's the Meteor Strike coming out from Sushi Lover. Grab is going to come out. Wiki's got to use his defensively in order to stop that, but a Primal Rage from Freezing Tide is going to at least even the score to his side. Multiple members for San Jose State, very, very low on health. Unfortunately, Gong will be taken out, and they survive the grab Meteor Strike combo as the Tac Visor comes out and mows through two more. But great trigger discipline by Sliver to hold on to that rally and save it for Wiki's grab, which I think probably should have come out there to maybe keep Fresno State and San Jose State both grabbed instead of allowing Fresno State to just run over you.
Yeah, we're going to see how good Fresno State's defense is here as the main thing that's going to come into play is going to be that Graviton Surge, but not the Dragon Strike, so that combo's kind of gone for them now. As Gone is picked off by Sushi Lover. Rally is expended by Silver, as well as the Primal Rage from Bully Hunter. All the ultimates being used by Fresno State, but San Jose State is just too far away for them to get much use out of it.
Yeah, I mean, now with that rally down, it does open up an opportunity for San Jose State here, but the problem is with that payload underneath, that allows Fresno State to just rain down from the high ground, and they can gladly trade out 2 for 1, and it sounds like, and it feels like San Jose State is holding on way too long for this perfect grab Dragons when they should have just committed the grab, and who knows, they might have had another one charged this late into the game.
Now Sushi Lover having the Meteor Strike coming online right now. Bully Hunter with a double there, though, stopping the Spartans right there. And there goes Wiki as well. Now only Gone remains. And what was kind of a slow start for Fresno State, just getting caught off guard as the payload was pushed forward. Now they've stopped the Spartans from getting even 1 point.
Yeah, they'll get one last contest here, probably going to be staggered in as Freezing Tide's definitely going to be in range. There's attack visor coming out from Siguru, going to get a great pick onto Elvin. Finally, the grab comes out with the Dragons in. I mean, they just waited way too long for this picture-perfect moment because they don't even get a single elimination with that combo. Now we're going to see MGCL. He'll throw out his own grab, and overtime will expire. And unfortunately for San Jose State, they just fell into that trap that every ult has to be perfect instead of just committing the ult and maybe the first one misses, but you have another chance at a second one.
I mean, the Graviton Surge and Dragon Strike kind of is, if it works out perfectly, is kind of a picture-perfect combo. But you don't need the Dragon Strike to follow up the Graviton Surge. You just need some sort of damage to come through. You know, a Shatter followed up by just your DPS doing your job is fine, as well as a Graviton Surge. You just got to make sure the other team doesn't have any defensive ultimates that they can use. So they were really kind of waiting for the perfect moment, and it never came for them.
Yeah, or even just grabbing defensively to kind of hinder your opponent's grab. As you mentioned, you just need the good DPS. So if you group them all up, I mean, it makes it a little bit harder. So, I mean, there were plenty of opportunities for Wiki to throw out that grab, and I think Gong fell into the trap as well of, okay, I got to hold my ult. I got to hold my ult. I got to hold my ult for this grab. And I just think, unfortunately, San Jose State maybe got in their heads a little bit too much and wanted that perfect, you know, quadruple kill, play of the game moment when they just needed solid ults. They did not need these fight-winning, game-winning ultimates that they kept saving for.
Well, you got too greedy looking for that play of the game. Now you're not going to get any.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe they don't have the grab anymore, so maybe Gong can still pick up a huge, you know, Dragon Strike here on defense. But Fresno State has to love their chances. Unless San Jose State has a similar comp to Boise State defensively or has some sort of other strategy up their sleeve, which they picked Watch Point Gibraltar, so maybe they do. I mean, this is a very, very winnable location for the payload to be for Fresno State, and being on match point, that just makes the pressure even greater on San Jose State.
You saw the Zarya getting up to their level there on the second, trying to get some. At least they're not waiting as long as Fresno State did to engage them, and Bully Hunter is taken out by Gone immediately. Now they're going to go under this bridge here and still not have that much of a contest there. Now they stop them right there. The Fresno State doesn't have to push even toward the first checkpoint here, though. That's the good news for them.
Yeah, they just really need to save for one good fight of ults and just kind of slam them all down on San Jose State. They don't have to worry about the repercussions as long as they can keep that payload pushing whenever they can, because I mean, it is kind of a hard spot to defend at times, but it's also a hard spot to attack. And right now, looks like they're going to try and get a pick here, but unfortunately, it's not doing enough damage, and Wiki's going to be able to fly away.
Just some healing going on there from Robin right now. They're going to be pretty close to that nano boost available, and the nano boost is actually going to be used by Kirigan there. Sushi Lover is taken out by Gone. It was placed onto that Winston, who's going to get right in the face of MG here, who got hit with the anti-nade. Still manages to survive, though, with this Zarya. Now the nano boost, and now here comes Primal Rage being used by Freezing Tide. Not able to pick up anybody, but is splitting up Fresno State. And as that nano boost comes out, that was not the right time for it.
Well, they did get it on the Bully Hunter. They allowed him to build that ultimate up, which they just need to keep that payload pushing. Sushi Lover's going to dive in, pick up one kill, and I actually think that nano on the Bully Hunter might have flipped the fight, at least gotten them close enough that now they're going to be able to grab and can maybe win one more fight. They have the Meteor Strike combo with it, which is a very deadly combo. So, I mean, I like Fresno State's chances here. It's really going to come down to if Elvin's able to hold on to that rally, and if Fresno State can bait it out, because that grab Meteor Strike can be a game winner for them right here.
Here comes MG, is first and foremost on the upper level here. We see the Winston trying to push the payload from down below, and here comes the combo with the Meteor Strike. It is countered somewhat by the rally, but it is not enough for the pure damage coming through from Fresno State. And that's going to be enough for them to take the point. Dragon Strike not going to stop them. They win this match.
Yeah, it's just such a powerful combo. Even with that rally coming out, it just melted through them. And huge congratulations to Fresno State. They seem like they've sort of separated themselves from San Jose State here, and definitely are going to be a team you want to watch out for. The 2 losses they already have are going to make it a bit more difficult, but I think Fresno State and Colorado State right now setting up to maybe be those 3rd and 4th place spots, as those are the Mountain West teams that from the other tournaments Boise State have been in that we've heard their name for Fresno State in some tournaments and Colorado State in some others. So seems like we're maybe shaping up for a top 4 that might start to pull away as the season goes on, but San Jose State, if they can maybe get an upset win over UNLV or Colorado State, can get right back in it.
Yeah, I think the main takeaway is I don't want to be San Jose State University in the VOD reviews this week because they had 2 very rough matches. That's going to do it for the 3rd match, though. We'll be back with more Overwatch after this. We're going to take a short break in the meantime.
The news says Gen Z is struggling. I've got news for them.
I wait tables, but last week I built a field hospital.
I put out a forest fire.
I stopped 1,000 attackers.
And a natural disaster.
I've saved lives.
And led a team on patrol.
I serve.
Well, I go to school full-time.
While I work full-time.
The greater the challenge, the stronger we become.
Welcome back to tonight's coverage of the Mountain West Overwatch Spring 2021 season. We have seen some great matches now, and it's time to get back to the Broncos' journey as they go up against New Mexico. I'm series host Jacob Jem Palmer, joined by Michael Fisher. And Boise State, I would expect, just in the general power level of the teams, that this is just kind of a match that they should win and that they kind of need to win in order to stay in the bracket.
Yeah, I mean, Boise State has, really a handful of players available with I think all 13 players in the Overwatch roster eligible for the Mountain West, so we might see some names from the Boise State Orange team in this matchup against New Mexico just to keep them fresh, keep them playing as their season had come to a close in some other tournaments. So I think the roster strength for Boise State is going to be very interesting, but it's also one of those that, you know, if New Mexico starts out with a couple wins, we might go back to the names we saw earlier tonight. So it's really going to depend because, I mean, as much as you want to keep those players fresh, you got to make sure you keep pace with at least Colorado State, who came into the night tied for second. We know they had a game against UNLV that if they won would definitely be a huge statement win, but for Boise State, you really want to finish 9-1 with your one loss to UNLV. So I figure we start with maybe some BSU Orange members, and as long as the series goes the way as we expect, that'll be how we finish, but we might substitute some out if New Mexico wins a map or two.
Yeah, Boise State only needs to be in the top 4 playoffs, and as long as they keep themselves out of that, you know, number 4 spot where they would most likely be matched up with the first seed being UNLV, then they have a really good chance in getting to the finals, but that's me assuming how the playoffs will work. Right now, it's just a matter of getting to the playoffs in this overall normal season, which is 9 rounds round robin. Started with 10 teams, and it's best of 5 for each match.
Yeah, and I think Boise State, I mean, it will be interesting to see how they kind of want to take on New Mexico in this match. And I mean, like I said, it will depend on what roster we see, because they're, you know, if Boise State goes with the orange team, they're not going to be able to compare head-to-head of, oh, well, UNLV did this against New Mexico, but Boise State did this. So it will be interesting, but as long as Boise State takes care of business, that's the biggest thing they want to do, keep everybody fresh, because you never know. I mean, with this regular season for the Mountain West extending past Boise State's, you know, graduation, you have no idea what, you know, internet connections could look like at players' houses, so you need everybody to be ready to go when you maybe get into those championship later on, as we see UNLV at 6-0, so we have to assume they've taken down Colorado State, who would fall into a tie with Fresno State at 3-2, so Boise State just needs to make sure they win this one against New Mexico, move to 5-1, and just stay that one game behind UNLV, with the one difference being their head-to-head matchup we saw in week 1.
Yeah, I believe it's New Mexico rather than New Mexico State that we saw there. So the Lobos still having kind of that troubled past in their overall roster here. The Broncos are going to be going on to try to beat them, and they'll keep Doc's keys to the game in mind in Overwatch, and that's never take a fair fight, and that means to take fights in unexpected places when the opposing team is unprepared, and do not take long in those fights. Doc's Keys to the Game brought to us by Count. Count Identity Trust Global Network delivers real-time fraud protection, account protection, and enables personalized customer experiences for more than 9,000 leading brands and payment providers. Quick and accurate identity trust decisions deliver safe payment, account creation, and login events while reducing digital fraud, chargebacks, false positives, and manual reviews. Count.com, KOUNT.com.
Yeah, and I think that last bullet point is going to be something we want to keep an eye on. It's not for Boise State from what we saw earlier, but we've definitely seen a lot of teams just struggle to, you know, okay, when do I want to take this fight? When do I want to grab? When do I want to sound barrier? You know, when do I want to use these ults in combination? And so it will be very interesting to see if what has plagued a lot of other teams with some weird grabs comes out tonight for Boise State. I know if this is the orange team, that Quidgeable will probably be on that Diva more than that Zarya, because it's a hero he's very, very comfortable on, and I don't think we've actually seen him on it since the changes. So I'd love to see him maybe get a sneaky remech or two and one shot at DPS. But that last bullet point has plagued a lot of teams, and there's probably a good reason why that has stuck in Doc's keys to the game, because I'm sure that Boise State has not been immune to these very, very slow and holding ults for the perfect moment kind of fights.
And going up in this kind of matchup against New Mexico, Boise State would just love to, overall in the match, not take so long and just make it a 3-0 to end the night in positive fashion. So we're going to get into the first match here. Most likely going to still be Nepal, as that has been the standard starter for the night.
Yeah, and it looks like we will be going to Nepal. Looks like we will have a bit of a change up for New Mexico, as it looks like Logchamp will be in. And I don't think that was a tank we saw for New Mexico in this first match of the night against UNLV, so a little bit of a change. And for Boise State, looks like it will be the Broncos' full orange team: Quidgeable, Icy, Narbles, Frost, the Beanie Bum, and Pleb. So I'm curious to see how Logchamp responds in his first action. We know Griffin is very, very talented, and that's someone Boise State's got to watch out for on that Zarya, and so Beanie Bum's got to charge that sound barrier pretty quick.
Yeah, and the first fight is going to break out here as the Immortality Field goes down for both teams, actually, as we wait for the first eliminations to come through.
And Boise State just hanging out on point. Maywall is going to go down, gets burned through quite quickly. And Frost take it very low, but so far New Mexico has not found a way in. Huge pin there, going to go on to Griffin. Logchamp first one taken down. Ant Matrix will fall, and Boise State simply going to line of sight that. Maywall will just cut it in half, but that's not going to slow down Boise State, as they'll pick up 3 more eliminations, and they'll send New Mexico running back.
And really unfortunate there, as the Amp Matrix was used right as it came online for Barry, way too late in the fight. Now Boise State is going to be more than content to just plant that Amp Matrix on the point and continue sniping. New Mexico State is going to have to keep that in mind if they're tracking ultimates. Might not want to take the main route here and instead go through the side area.
Yeah, a lot of pressure is going to be on Logchamp here. I mean, he already started out a little bit cool, hasn't seen much action tonight. He's got to block this Shatter from Icy. That could immediately win the fight. We've also got a Deadeye and an Ant Matrix. There's the Ant Matrix from Pleb. Huge Shatter, only lands on to Barry. Icy also going to get stunned by a flashbang there. He's got to make sure he holds his shield now, as Logchamp sitting on that Shatter. A couple of stuns going to go out. Frost going to just throw down that Blizzard, and Boise State's going to survive. There was an opportunity there where I got kind of scared that there was a Shatter moment for Logchamp, but he wasn't quite able to execute it, and Boise State's going to clean white through New Mexico.
Now they do have to keep in mind here New Mexico State does have their main CC ultimate available with that shatter, and they certainly have the damage ultimates to follow it up. So they're going to have to keep in mind that they don't get caught out by Logchamp's shatter and just have the right positioning for it. Of course, Narbles and Quidgible both having ultimates available, and the Lucio beat, if it's used at the right time, can counter this shatter.
Yeah, that's going to be a great counter in case Icy is not able to block it. Diva Bomb goes off early. That's a huge pick onto Logchamp. Meteor Strike's only going to get the Immortality Field as they'll trade out. Ant Matrix does go down. Boise State's got to be careful. They're going to lose 2. Narbles just going to push right through it. Does get elimination onto Barry, but only bright side here for New Mexico is that they're winning the fight, but the point is still ticking up. And unfortunately, no one from the Lobos is committing over to this point. Finally, they do to try and contest it in overtime. And if Logchamp's able to get back, he does get frozen. He would have the shatter. Unfortunately, does not look like he'll make it there. And just never getting that shatter off, that's going to be a huge difference maker in this team as we get an Ant Matrix down from Pleb. Deadeye is going to exchange 1 for 1, and the few remaining members of New Mexico will keep throwing themselves at the point, which you can at least commend for them not forgetting about the objective like we've seen other teams, but the Maywall is going to block them off, and Boise State will win map number 1.
It seemed in their ultimate usage there, New Mexico really had problems at both ends of the spectrum. They had a problem, you know, with the Amp Matrix being used as soon as it came online, and really just using your ultimate too soon and not at the right time. And then they had problems with just hanging on to ultimates that they really weren't able to use, mainly with Logchamp and that shatter there. They just weren't able to use it. So hopefully they can get a little bit more coordination going for the second match.
Yeah, I mean, and it's one of those things with collegiate esports, you never know, what came up. I thought Garth played spectacularly in that UNLV game, but, maybe he's got a final as well. So I think Logchamp, probably just needed a map or 2 to warm up. It's one of those things when you immediately get thrown into the fire. Who knows if he had time to get any solo queue games in. You're hoping in this second map and going forward that he's going to be able to perform a bit more up to the level that I'm sure he's expecting he's capable of. As right now we do see C6 threw down that Symmetra teleporter, allowed New Mexico to get onto that point quickly. Boise State's going to be sieging, but they do have the high ground. Now the Broncos will jump down. Going to look for an early value there. Maywall's almost going to cut the team off just a few meters behind, but they do get Pleb's Immortality Field. Meanwhile, great Maywall from Frost is going to cut off the team. C6 is the first elimination for Boise State. Icy dropping low. They got to make sure they heal him up as Griffin is taken out of the mech. And it was a risky fight. Yin's Maywall the second time a bit better. But if that first Maywall would have hit, Boise State could have been completely caught off guard. So they'll have to thank their lucky stars that Yin was just a couple inches too far back.
That was really impressive that Boise State was able to retake that point, especially since a lot of New Mexico's strategy was on just bunkering down on that point. They were able to get to that first point successfully and start setting up those Symmetra turrets. But Boise State, with just some great positioning and a nice Maywall there, were just able to beat them to it.
Yeah, it was a great shatter there from Icy. Maywall, though, from Yin should be able to save the team. Boise State's going to go chasing. They'll pick up 2, they'll grab a mech as well, and that should be enough as Yin and C6 nearly combined to save that shatter. Unfortunately, that Maywall just not sturdy enough, and now you see Quidgible sitting on that graph.
Now Yin does, the only thing that both teams do have the Blizzard available, and we do see kind of a follow-up from Quidgible is going to be able to have the Deadeye to follow that up in terms, and we're going to see if the follow-up comes through.
Oh, good Maywall there from Yin to at least keep the team alive for the most part, but Boise State was able to sneak behind it, and we've seen the DPS for New Mexico come really close to helping this team stay alive. Unfortunately, when you get 5-man grab with no sound barrier, there's just not much you can do.
Yeah, now Logchamp is going to have the shatter available, but really hasn't found a good point to use that shatter. Has really been struggling to get a lot of good mileage out of it. But we do see 2 CC ultimates available to Boise State they can use to start off this engagement in the right way.
Oh, huge 4-man shatter comes down, and Boise State's just going to throw it into overdrive. They'll throw down the Blizzard as well. Yin answers with his own, though. And Boise State, unfortunately, maybe got a bit too aggro off that 4-man shatter. We also see that Logchamp threw his shatter out as well, only landed onto 1. Maywall does break the point in half, but Griffin will be taken down. Logchamp incredibly low, and New Mexico nearly caught Boise State being a bit too greedy, but Boise State should be able to win this, and I don't know if New Mexico can get back in time for a recontest.
and they're probably just going to use this Deadeye here as just kind of a zoning ultimate to stop him flashbang onto that McCree and just ending that round in style. Boise State starting off with a great win there, but one thing I really want to point out that I noticed was going to come up after this important reminder to be involved with Idaho Codes, a sponsored summer computer science program open to all 7th and 12th grade students in every Idaho school district, teaching coding and programming courses. Students who complete the Idaho Codes have various credit opportunities and can network with those in the industry. Please encourage students in every district to register at idahocodes.org. The program is free for the first 1,000 students registered, and there are options to participate either on campus or online. Now,
I was going to say, what were you going to bring up?
The one thing I wanted to bring up is kind of a really good player just defensively that we saw that I want to bring up for New Mexico was Yin on that May, because those May walls just being brought up defensively for when Boise State would try to start out those engagements, those were where they needed to be to try to keep New Mexico alive.
Yeah, I thought Yin played admirably in terms of almost being more of a support than a DPS and just using those May walls. I mean, he nearly saved him from a huge shatter. Thought he could get it for the grab. Unfortunately, the May wall is just not long enough to block off that entire corridor. But yeah, Yin is someone to be feared on that May. He was very, very capable of blocking a lot of the ults that Boise State had. I think LogChamp was starting to get into his groove as well, and so Boise State's got to be careful and make sure Icy wins those Battle of the Reinhardts if that is the tanks they stick on, because I think that first map was just a little bit of, you know, hey, we need you to fill in, and he was maybe caught a bit off guard, was just a little bit rusty still. But LogChamp definitely coming of his own, and Yin can play that sort of pseudo, we talk about May as more a pseudo DPS support with her crowd control abilities, and Yin was playing a lot more support and almost making it so it felt like goats out there where there are just too many defensive options, but Boise State would just barely find a way to break through.
Well, it's the second time tonight we're going to be seeing Blizzard World in the hybrid role, and you might think that New Mexico might have wanted to pick that, you know, trying to catch the Broncos on guard. But the thing about the Broncos is they're good at the main maps, but they especially pride themselves on being able to practice on the maps that aren't played as often. So I wouldn't expect the Broncos to be caught off guard by any sort of map choice here.
Yeah, and it is one kind of, you know, it fits into a very interesting decision when hybrid comes up is, you know, okay, most teams play Kings Row. Can you steal a game off a team that maybe isn't ready for a map off Kings Row? And I know that was Boise State's strategy for years, is they would almost, and I don't know if neglect's the right word, but they would practice almost exclusively not Kings Row, knowing that if they ever had a pick, it was almost like a free win. So I like this very aggressive pick here from New Mexico, maybe thinking they can catch Boise State off guard. As you mentioned, I think Boise State will be ready, but I like New Mexico's chances as we got LogChamp here on this Winston. They're trying to push through, but Narbles is doing quite a bit of damage. Finally, they'll come around the corner. Giraffe on that Mercy is going to be boosting probably that Soldier. Unfortunately, a great pick there by Frost onto Barry on the back line, and that's going to take down a main support. Nice res from Giraffe. Surprised Boise State could not get the punish off, and that's going to allow New Mexico to re-siege here on a full 6v6, and just like that, they meet takedown 2. Frost gets one back, though, as he gets taken out, and now Boise State needs one more pick, but Pleb gets taken out, and that's a huge fight win on the back of Giraffe.
And one interesting thing that you kind of want to watch out for is the effectiveness of the Mercy on that res. If your team isn't able to really deny that res for the Mercy, it can completely change off that early pick that you got. And if Boise State continues allowing such mileage to be gotten out of this Mercy, then that can really be a thorn in their side from New Mexico. As an early pick there onto Frost, like I said, there you go. Once you allow that, if Giraffe is allowed to continue on this Mercy, Boise State is going to have a rough time. Yeah,
that is the value the Mercy brings. Now the question will become when Quidgible gets this grab, how does New Mexico defend against it? But that's for another story. As Giraffe is taken very low ice, he's hit by the ante. He's got to be careful, but LogChamp's the first elimination. Giraffe now probably looking for a res. I think Boise State's going to do a good job of corpse camping here and make sure LogChamp has to wait out the full 6 seconds to be able to respawn. And now with this grab up for Quidgible, here comes the question. How do you defend against it? Boise State is in the same predicament, though. With Griffin being taken out, they don't have to worry about that grab for a little bit longer, as they're going to try and hold New Mexico in their spawn. Oh, they had a great flank on Frost, but I think based on the health bar, he kind of got caught out and was forced to retreat.
New Mexico really doesn't have the comp here that would really be able to counter any sort of Graviton Surge. It's going to be used right now in combination with the Dragon Strike. Only going to be able to pick up Griffin right now, as Frost is actually taken out by C6 there, and the res coming back onto Griffin there, and that's one of Boise State's main plays now taken out of the running.
Yeah, and right as that happened, New Mexico got a huge pick onto Beanie Bum to deny Boise State's own res. Now, unfortunately, for the side of New Mexico, they were being spawn camped so hard that they're now just finally able to push around that first corner. So they're going to need to win a couple more fights, but they have time in the bank, and now it will be interesting to see how Boise State responds to a grab from Griffin. They also do have that Primal Rage available. Frost will commit the duplicate, going to pick the Tracer. A very interesting choice. Does able to take down Log Champ, but a double pulse bomb from Yin, plus a huge grab there from Griffin, and sort of the own combination that New Mexico had planned is going to really ruin Boise State's chances. Need to get this pulse bomb off in the next 2 seconds. Is able to. And now we see that Echo change nearly rear its ugly head as Frost not healing to full, only healing to 100. But is able to gun down Giraffe after the res comes out, but Boise State should be able to sustain and hold this payload for now.
Now, Pleb did use that nano boost, so it's not going to be able to go on to Icy, as Beanie Bum is able to res Icy here. Icy should be able to push the remaining team back with the remaining members and squishies that New Mexico has. That Tesla Cannon should make short work out of them. Problem is they got to deal with that Primal Rage, and actually Logchamp just charges away, allowing Boise State the time they needed to reset, and this next fight is going to be coming out in the next few seconds.
Yeah, now it'll be Icy's turn to pop his Primal Rage. There's not really many other alts online. Great pick onto Logchamp and onto Yin. Gonna corpse camp Logchamp there. Oh, perfect sleep from Barry. We've seen a lot of great sleeps over the last few days on this channel, and unfortunately the sleep is broken, and the rest of those squishies for New Mexico will just be chased down by Icy, and that was a near perfect play for Barry. It's unfortunate. It looks like somebody just happened to break it.
And the great thing that's going to work out for Boise State is they're going to have their grab again, which New Mexico still doesn't have any sort of counter for from their supports. They don't have a Lucio. They don't necessarily have a Brig here. They've really kind of stuck on this Mercy to try to pocket their McCree. But if the Mercy or McCree is taken out early on, then there goes that strategy.
Yeah, they're going to get a great pick onto Griffin to start things out right off the back of that grab. Only one elimination, but you can see Boise State hanging around that corpse. They do not want it to be revived. So they will just simply take their one kill and walk away. And now it's going to be interesting to see how their next fight plays out with just a pair of nanos and a duplicate.
And New Mexico is really going to have to try, as you saw their Winston doing right here. They needed to knock that Echo off of that top point, because Echoes and Ashes and those kind of heroes that can do a lot of damage from those high vantage points, if you allow them to stick on top of that turret there, they're going to make it very hard to try to push through that choke point and get onto the first checkpoint.
Ooh, Frost trying to be sneaky here. You can get a duplicate onto Griffin. That would be multiple grabs that Boise State might be able to throw out. As Griffin has his grab soon, I would not be shocked if New Mexico's maybe waiting. You can see Frost's silhouette in the background. He's going to get a huge pick onto Giraffe, who even needs to duplicate. Will duplicate onto the creep and the hammer. Frost has got himself a triple. He'll make it a quad before he gets taken out, but he'll be revived. And that's the way to play Echo.
Yeah, an amazing flank there from Boise State is going to leave New Mexico with just one fight left. Now, they do... Oh, that huge pick onto Yin! That pulse bomb is not going to be used for this next team fight. And if they're able to stagger New Mexico out properly, then they're not going to have to deal with any sort of full combo possibility used with that pulse bomb and Graviton Surge.
Mexico will get the respawn in time. Valkyrie's going to be committed by Beanie Bum, and there's a Deadeye stop from C6. There's the grab. Pulse Bomb going to come out. Narble's looking for a play. We also saw a two-man anti-land. Unfortunately, the Pulse Bomb just couldn't get a kill. Logchamp flying in just gets picked out of the sky. And Boise State should be able to hold. They'll throw down a grab of their own. And after a slow start, much like we saw against Fresno State and San Jose State, team starts quick, but just can't get to that second point, and Boise State's left themselves in a very winnable spot.
Huge shout-outs to both Frost and Narbles there in the DPS role. They were able to get crazy flanks, great picks onto New Mexico to stagger them out. And now I wouldn't be surprised if the Broncos just try to just try to get this all in one go. Take the point on the first engagement, and then just continue to snowball that towards not even need to get to the first checkpoint, just need to push a little bit past where New Mexico got, and they'll be going to match point, sitting pretty.
Yeah, I think this is a great job by the Boise State team coming out and you know, holding serve with New Mexico. New Mexico's even going to try and bring out their own Echo to maybe duplicate, pun intended, I guess you could say, what Frost was able to pull off. And you know, you think with Frost on that Genji, Pleb's probably going to pick that Ana once again to set up the Nano Blade. And it'll be very interesting because Boise State doesn't really have a great way to deal with Echo outside of Narbles, but if you get a headshot at long distance, Giraffi's just going to get a res. So it's going to be interesting to see how Boise State handles the Ashe and the Echo with a Genji and a Widowmaker.
It is going to be the battle of the snipers here, not only in the Ashe, but I really wouldn't count Narbles out of it because Boise State can do such a great job on their snipers that taking Echo out of the air, I wouldn't expect would be too big of a challenge for someone as great as Boise State here. You saw Icy being hit with an anti-nade there at the very beginning, but now is just looking for that sightline there. It's going to be scanning the sky, trying to find out where that Echo is once they know that the Echo is being used by New Mexico.
Yeah, the bigger thing is going to be getting a pick onto Giraffe, because if you get a headshot onto Yin or onto C6, that should be an easy revive. There's the headshot. Now you have to camp for the revive, as that could just totally allow them back in the fight. There it is. They pick off Giraffe. The Echo's going to do a ton of damage, though, to Narbles. Oh, they trade kills, actually, at the very last moment, and unfortunately for New Mexico, that is not what you wanted to go 1-for-1 when you're already down 3. C6 going to swap over to a Widowmaker of his own, and just like that, Boise State is going to roll through the point, unlock the payload, and start pushing.
The good thing for Boise State, though, is even though Narbles was taken out there, it was very far away from the front line in a safe place where the Mercy could go and res them back. Now Boise State is going to be looking very close here on this Diva Bomb, and the Nano Blade is also very close to being used as well.
They get a great pick onto Barry. We'll see if they're able to stop the res from Giraffe. It's not in the greatest of spots as they do take Quidgible out of the mech. Boise State, though, I mean, they are so far forward. They're in front of their capture spot. So even if they get taken out, it's, oof. We unfortunately swapped to Narbles at the worst time there as we see him miss the grapple up. And now Boise State has to retreat just a little bit. Valkyrie will be committed. Nano Blade's online. There's the Nano. Where's the Blade? It will be popped. Giraffe will get cut in half. Great sleep, though, from Barry to cancel out the rest of that high power ultimate. Just unfortunate that he could not save his own support. And Barry will be taken out anyway. And great sleep there, just unfortunately just about 3 seconds too late.
The great thing is that Icy, now that we're really getting toward the point, both of these Winstons are going to have their Primal Rage. And the Primal Rage is going to be great because it's going to allow Boise time to get just a little bit of extra, and a great pick there onto Narb. Well, there you go. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, Narbles did have the advantage, you know. He did have the infrared sight out, so he was able to kind of have a little bit of extra information than C6 was, but I mean, that was just an ego peak, and he made him pay right in the head. So absolutely fantastic response by Boise State. It didn't start well. I mean, you could see why New Mexico opted for the choice on Blizzard World, because they absolutely came out on fire, just kind of fell apart there towards the middle when Boise State started having the ult advantage, and then attacking wise, Boise State just cleaned up, and now they put themselves on escort with a chance to get home with a 3-0 win and keep pace with UNLV, one game behind them in the standings.
And they really had a lot of improvement in how they dealt with the Mercy, as the Mercy was really allowed just kind of free reign in the first half of that match. But Boise State, by the time they were on attack, they were able to get the picks that they needed, take out that Mercy before she was able to pull off the res, and it really worked out for them. They didn't have really one team fight that they lost there. They just kept pushing forward to take it immediately. So now New Mexico is going to have choice of the third map, hopefully for the Broncos, the final map, which will be Escort. And we've mainly seen Rialto be used in terms of Escort. Still haven't seen Havana, though, which, based on all the previous weeks, if we don't see it at all this week, I would be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, Havana's a very tricky one, especially with how we just saw Narbles playing that Widowmaker. It would kind of question, You know, that would kind of be maybe an ego choice from C6 saying like, oh, I'm going to outplay him 100%. That last shot was just pure luck, because I don't think you want to go into how Narbles has been playing on Havana with those long sightlines. So we'll go back to watch point Gibraltar. It'd be interesting. I think the biggest question is going to be if Boise State Orange pulls off a similar comp to what Boise State Blue does with that sort of close hold, and they swap over to the Sombre May and they hold them right underneath that high ground that a lot of teams hold out on, because it's been very hard for teams to crack, or if Boise State will maybe go with a more traditional, we'll hold the high ground defense. And I think that's going to be the one thing I'm watching out for as we get onto this map.
Well, if they didn't want to pick Havana because Boise State is strong on it, then you don't necessarily want to choose Watch Point Gibraltar as the alternative, because that's another strong map for the Broncos.
Yep, here we go.
Boise State is just going to be going for this close hold here, being able to take advantage of this general area here and being able to stop. Once you stand in this building, you're able to stop the payload from going forward since you are close enough to it. So they're just going to have that position to their advantage and start right now.
Yeah, they're going to probably try and burn about at least 30 seconds. A minute would be huge for them. And then when they get the respawn, as long as New Mexico's not ready for it, they'll just sneak right underneath. As Beanie is the first elimination. But like I said, this is not a fight-winning composition for Boise State at this moment. This is just a stalling composition. This crowd freeze is going to be used by Frost right on that point. Hack's going to go on to Yin to try and ground him. You see Logchamp is just sitting above Boise State using that Tesla cannon. And Boise State continues to hold. Here, going to get a hack on to Griffin. They have the Ant Matrix available from Pleb if they want to throw it down. It's Quidgeable taken out of the mech. Sleep's going to land onto Frost, and he will immediately be taken out. They will at least take down the mech of Griffin as Boise State starts to lose members now. They should be able to get back in time, and they burn a minute, a little bit more here off the clock as Beanie Bum gets an elimination before being taken out. Pleb's trying to do all he can, and they get that minute stall, and they should be able to now get right underneath where that payload's heading. You can see that open door on the left-hand side. They will sneak right under there, and they will contest for as long as possible. They already have an EMP up.
And you see Narbles here in this stealth mode is just going to be waiting. Unfortunately for the Broncos, looks like New Mexico isn't even really giving them the chance to try to pin them under that bridge area as they're sticking up to the upper ground here. It's just going to be a matter of trying to force them down there, which they are doing right now.
Yeah, you got to go down there if you're New Mexico, because that's where the payload is. EMP unfortunately going to whip there from Narbles, only landing onto Logchamp. Get a Diva Bomb as well as a duplicate from Yin. He's going to duplicate onto the Baptiste. Quidgeable will throw out his own Diva Bomb and pick up 2. New Mexico did not have the answer for it. A second Ant Matrix will go down from Yin, but he's the only one really benefiting from it. And despite the EMP usage, Boise State's going to come out with that win.
That was a little bit surprised there, actually. Actually, no, Yin couldn't have thrown down that Amp Matrix because he's on DPS there, so it would have had to have been...
He duplicated the Baptiste.
Oh, he duplicated.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense there. My brain was really racking because I was like, he's not a support, and both support ultimates are available, so...
Yeah, you don't see duplicates onto Baptiste very often, as this is exactly what Boise State wants. You think the EMP's on cooldown, and you run right into a blizzard and get ground or really frozen to death, as Boise State's able to pick up 2, and they just missed demicking Griffin. Now, try and charge EMP for the next one.
He's getting very close to it, already above 70 here. Mays just taking a few kind of shots here and there, and this Amp Matrix is really going to make it tough for New Mexico. They're going to try to get into a better position, but they've already had one picked off, and this Maywall here is going to split them even further.
Yeah, Crowd Freeze does get forced out. Giraffe's going to get a res onto C6, so for the most part, nothing too damaging, but Narbles has that EMP, just has to get it off. Beanie Bum is forced to Sound Barrier. EMP goes off as Narbles dies, lands onto 3. But Boise State's not able to get any sort of finish up. Logchamp barely gets out of the freeze in time and is able to commit the Primal Rage, takes down Icy. Bob called in as well. But Boise State was so far off the payload as Quidgeable throws out a Diva Bomb and is able to remech. Nice freeze there onto Griffin. Oh, crowd freeze forced out from Frost. He's got the Blizzard available. Will he want to use it, or can he hold on? This Giraffe will commit that Valkyrie. Stopping that res will be paramount. Another duplicate up for Yin as he takes down Narbles. Hoping he probably picks a better target than a Baptiste this time as the Blizzard does go down. And we are into overtime. There's the duplicate onto Diva. I like this choice. If Pleb can get back, he'll have an Ant Matrix up as well. Nano is going to be used there onto the Diva, the Yin Diva that is, and he's going to just get frozen for the entire duration, but Boise State's health bars are starting to melt. Yin does get a Diva bomb off. Frost able to throw down a great May wall, but it's not going to hold long enough, and Boise State's stall works until overtime, but they should get one recontest.
They're going to get one recontest and a great opportunity here to stop all of the members of New Mexico in their tracks. If they can get that shatter going and being able to use it before those ultimates, the Bob and the Primal Rage, come into effect from New Mexico, they can end this right now.
Diva bomb from Griffin will come out, and
oh
no! New Mexico didn't get on the point in time. That high ground was just too alluring. And I mean, that's just story of the night, unfortunately, for a lot of teams in the Mountain West. Is just...
It's the night of the C9.
It is the night of the C9. Maybe they've been playing too much Call of Duty, prepping for some Warzone tournaments or something like that, because they have just absolutely forgotten about the objective, and you just really hate to see it because you think maybe New Mexico had a chance going into that last fight.
I don't know, maybe with finals looming, they've been playing a little bit of arcade too much, trying to lighten up the mood, and I don't know. That would be my best hypothesis. But it's probably off target. But right now we see Boise State is going to be using a very divey composition with both of those dive tanks and of course the Genji and the Doomfist. This is such a mobile composition from Boise State right here.
Yeah, Boise State probably predicting that New Mexico won't go for any sort of close hold, won't go for any sort of underneath stall, probably going to hold the high ground, and the whole goal for Boise State is to get onto that high ground and just wipe out New Mexico and try and prevent them from really slowing down Boise State. I mean, the only problem is going to be who do you leave on the payload when it has to push underneath? I mean, it'll probably end up falling on Pleb as the support, but I mean, that's going to be maybe the one downside here for Boise State. But they want to dive right onto New Mexico. You see they go right on to the Lobos here, trying to wrap this match up. Both Winston Shields going to go down. That's a huge four-man ante from Barry. And Boise State will just jump off, and they'll start pushing the payload.
They really only need to get right up to that first checkpoint, and that's going to be a pick onto Frost there with that stun there. Luckily, Beanie Bum is able to res Frost, and C6 is taken out by Icy in revenge. Narbles and Frost also getting some picks of their own there. And Boise State is going to be going in with a nice advantage as they start to get into this tricky spot right under the bridge. They're already halfway through it.
Yeah, New Mexico just not opting to try and slow them down means that they're going to be able to easily push this through. Ooh, great flank there onto the Baby Diva. And now Boise State setting up. They're already up 2. There's a nano up for Barry. If he gets back in, can land this nano onto Logchamp, who I thought played impressively well on that Winston on attack. That could be a scary spot for Boise State to be in. They'll get the revive onto Quidgible. The Dragon Blade does come out, but there's no nano in return, so you can see the lack of Genji in the kill feed, as he's only able to pick up one. They'll punch down Giraffe. Nano goes out onto Griffin in a last-ditch effort to stall, but unfortunately that Wrecking Ball gonna get just punched around. And Boise State will be able to wrap this one up, and they'll go 3-0 over New Mexico, and they'll go to 5-1 and keep pace right behind UNLV.
Well, Boise State maintaining their position at the top of the overall standings, pulling off a 3-0 victory against the Lobos. And the Wolfpack looking more like a bunch of tiny scared Pomeranians in the face of the stampeding Broncos. That's gonna be a great end for the Broncos' journeys tonight, pulling off 2 victories. And now they, as long as they really kind of stay out of that 4th place position and don't put themselves in a position where they could potentially, if it is seeded for the playoffs, that they don't have to go up against UNLV until the very end.
Yeah, I would expect it to be the traditional 1 will play 4, 2 will play 3 format for the Mountain West. So yeah, remaining out of that 4 spot is paramount. I mean, who knows? We've seen some tournaments giving the higher seed either map choice or something like that. Not sure if the Mountain West has anything like that planned, so the 2 seed would be the ideal spot. And Boise State did a good job. They held serve. They won both their games. They're 1 game back at UNLV. They can't make it up, unfortunately, because they lost that game to UNLV, but I think Boise State's goal is a 9-1 finish and a 2nd place spot as we get our ICCU player of the game.
The player of the game is going to be Frost there. and some great recognition there for the Orange squad. Frost did a great job there. Excuse me. Frost did a great job there on this Echo, being able to copy onto the Tracer.
Yeah, Frost was absolutely insane on that Echo. We saw that moment where he duplicated onto the McCree and kind of just outplayed two players on New Mexico, hit them both with the flashbang and the double fan, the hammer. It was absolutely impressive, so huge congratulations to Frost. I thought he played phenomenal here for Boise State, was a big reason why they were able to pick up the victory. And then this May, it just makes this comp work on Watchpoint Gibraltar, and he played it fantastically.
Well, the ICCU Play of the Game brought to you by Idaho Central Credit Union, who believes a great player makes a team more successful, just like Idaho Central's helping members achieve financial success. Frost is your Idaho Central Credit Union Player of the Game. And now to end that overall matchup against the Broncos and the Lobos, we will leave you with the top 5 plays of the game, brought to you by the Idaho Army National Guard, who invites you to take your critical thinking skills into real time with more than 10 positions offering a $20,000 bonus and your degree of choice paid for. The Idaho Army National Guard is one of the best teams to join out there. Reach out to them at iGuard Gaming on Twitch. For now, though, enjoy your top 5 plays of the game.
Yin does get a Diva Bomb off. Frost able to throw down a great May wall, but it's not going to hold long enough. And Boise State's stall works until overtime, but they should get one recontest.
They're going to get one recontest and a great opportunity here to stop all of the members of New Mexico in their tracks. If they can get that shatter going and being able to season, which is 9 rounds round robin, started with 10 teams, and it's best of 5 for each match.
Yeah, and I think Boise State, I mean, it will be interesting to see how they kind of want to take on New Mexico in this match. And I mean, like I said, it will depend on what roster we see, because they're, you know, if Boise State goes with the orange team, they're not going to be able to compare head. So do have that primal rage available. Frost will commit the duplicate, going to pick the Tracer. A very interesting choice. Does able to take down Log Champ, but a double pulse bomb from Yin, plus a huge grab there from Griffin, and sort of the own combination that New Mexico had planned is going to really ruin Boise State's chances. Need to get this pulse bomb off in the next 2 seconds. Is able to, and now we see that
used with that pulse bomb and graviton surge.
Let's go. We'll get the respawn in time. Valkyrie's going to be committed by Beanie Bum, and there's a Deadeye stop from C6. There's the grab. Pulse bomb going to come out. Narble's looking for a play. We also saw a 2-man anti-land. Unfortunately, the Pulse Bomb just couldn't get a kill. Log Champ flying in just gets picked out of the sky. And Boise State should be. Frost has got himself a triple. He'll make it a quad before he gets taken out, but he'll be revived. And that's the way to play Echo.
Yeah, an amazing flank there from Boise State. He's going to leave New Mexico with just 1 fight left. Now, they do. Oh, that huge pick onto Yin. That pulse bomb isn't. They need to get right up to that first checkpoint, and that's going to be a pick onto Frost there with that stun there. Luckily, Beanie Bum is able to res Frost, and C6 is taken out by Icy in revenge. Narbles and Frost also getting some picks of their own there. And Boise State is going to be going in with a nice advantage as they start to get in.
It does come out, but there's no nano in return, so you can see the lack of Genji in the kill feed, as he's only able to pick up 1. They'll punch down Giraffe. Nano goes out onto Griffin in a last-ditch effort to stall, but unfortunately that Wrecking Ball gonna get just punched around. And Boise State will be able to wrap this one up, and they'll go 3-0 over New Mexico. And